Hey, Action Shelf listeners, before we jump into the show itself, we want to tell you about how you can get even more action in your life. That appeals to you.
More action, you say,
More action,
John.
you say, yes. If you go over to our Podbean patron page, that's patron.podbean.com/punchup. You can listen to Listman and I watch, what's this? Good action movies.
Good action movies, you say?
That's right, a change of pace. We thought behind the paywall, let's give people something of quality.
And give us something of quality.
I know, it's such a pleasure to do that. So twice a month, you and I will be doing commentary tracks that you can download for good action movies, all kinds of awesome stuff from a lot of our heroes like John Woo. And we've done stuff from the John Wick franchise and Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all the guys we never get to talk about on here.
Yeah, stuff we legitimately love and love to share with you all.
Yeah. So you can listen to that as well as other cool exclusive content from the Punch Up Entertainment Network shows. Once again, the address for that is patron.podbean.com/punchup. And now, into the action.
The Action Show. Action Show. The Action Show. The Action Show.
Welcome to the Action Shelf. The podcast celebrates the glory of B-action movies. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Michael Listman.
Oh, Listman, it's time to bring Cynthia Rothrock September in for a landing.
Well, so sad.
It
was a great flight.
It was, and we did get to choose a month that had 5 straight weeks of Rothrock. She got a little bit more than most of our other months, deservedly so.
Definitely. Not every movie a winner, but I'd say overall pretty good. But
month. Rothrock always a winner at the very least. We love to see it. And so we wanted to kind of close things out as we started them, and that is with the return of our first guest from this month, Maggie Torres.
Whoop, whoop. I'm the bookends, baby.
The other reason we wanted to have you on for this one is this is a sequel to a movie you have also seen. You weren't on that episode for it, but you did see Martial Law 1. Yes. And now we are talking about Martial Law 2, Undercover.
Now, that was a year ago that we watched that first one.
It was.
I don't think either of us remember the plot of that movie, other than David Carradine and Chad McQueen were in it.
You didn't even remember David Carradine was in it.
I did,
last night when we were looking it up. And
David Carradine was the villain. If I recall, there was something to do with cars. He had a fleet of illegal cars that he was shipping somewhere. That's the only reason I remember that is you and I talking about kind of a boring thing for a criminal to be doing. Now, I will say, having watched Martial Law 2 Undercover, I don't really even understand what anyone's doing in this movie. No. It is vague drug deals of some sort.
Maybe the most incompetent crime boss I've ever seen in a movie.
Well, oh my God. I mean, okay, Martial Law 2. We were looking forward to this because everybody talks about Martial Law, whatever. Martial Law 2, that's the good one. I will say there's some truth to that, and I think on the action side of things. I think it's an improvement on the fighting. However, by God, can we get David Carradine back as our villain? Because this guy's a huge step down from Carradine. I think we have a step up in who our hero is and a major step down in who our villain is.
Yeah, because Chad McQueen gets replaced in this movie with
Jeff Wincott.
Jeff Wincott.
Who is a way better, I think he's a better actor and a way better martial artist.
I would agree on both counts.
Actually, a martial artist. I don't know if Dave McQueen.
Chad.
I was close.
Chad McQueen
I don't
had
know if he had any training.
He had some.
His dad did.
Yes, his dad Steve McQueen was trained by Bruce Lee. And
right. I only think him as a race car driver.
He's-
So
we really need to watch Bullet.
Yeah,
really,
Steve McQueen was an actor, and the race car stuff was sort of like his hobby. But he was a movie
he was
star.
in a Sheryl Crow song, and that's literally the only thing I know about him.
He was,
and not even like he wasn't in it. She sang about him.
I mean, it's interesting to talk about
That's
Steve
it.
McQueen for a little bit on the action shelf because I feel like he was kind of one of the first true action heroes of cinema.
Yes.
Like an out and out action star.
Definitely.
Because we've talked about this. Action movies, the concept of the genre of action, doesn't really come into existence until the 60s, mid to late 60s. Before that, you had thrillers and crime movies and stuff like that, but movies based around scenes of action really start with James Bond and Steve McQueen.
A little bit. I was thinking North by Northwest is kind of an action movie.
Because that was a big prototype for Bond. That was kind of how
Yes.
they pitched Bond. Was they wanted to make a series of movies with the feel of North. Hitchcock is sort of in there too, as being a guy who made movies based around action sequences. And
Yes, and set pieces.
but I think North by Northwest is a pretty good. If you're gonna go like the first like big studio action movie, I think that's probably pretty fair. It's a great fucking movie.
Yes.
Great
It is.
movie.
Yeah,
man.
I really need to rewatch that film.
You know what? That might be one for a commentary. We should
definitely do that. That
Love
sounds great.
that movie.
I haven't seen that one.
It's great. It's great Cary Grant. But let's talk about something that is considerably worse than that.
Wait, who are these people saying that Martial Law 2 is the good one?
That
'Cause
seems
I'd
to be
like-
the general
It's because
consensus.
I think the absence of Chad McQueen.
I think Chad McQueen is clearly, and I agreed, he is the huge problem at the center of martial law. We kept talking about that. He is a guy who skated by on the fact that his dad was like one of the most beloved figures of cinema. And he didn't get the looks or charisma of his father at all.
Okay, his dad named him Chad. Okay,
Yeah, well,
like
that's true.
the,
He was
the
doomed.
cards were a little stacked against him
He
in
was
that
doomed.
regard. I'm so sorry to any listeners named Chad. You're great. I
Yeah.
love you.
And
It's not a great name, but
And
you,
this is
you
not
wear
to-
it well.
I'm not here to besmirch Chad McQueen, but his dad was like considered one of the sexiest men in film ever.
Right.
And his son didn't quite and also was just fucking cool. Such a like instant movie star. The second he walked on screen, you're like, that guy. I'm gonna watch that guy in things forever.
And part of his sex appeal, I think, was his charisma. You know,
Yeah, he was cool.
he's a good-looking dude, but I think he's very charismatic, very confident.
Yeah, it was
he-
always a thing where he didn't seem to be trying to be cool. He just was.
Exactly.
Great Escape is another one of the great ones.
Yes.
That I fucking
Oh,
love.
what a great film! What a great
Amazing.
film.
I just watched that somewhat recently. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like a slightly less attractive Paul Newman.
Yes.
At least
Yeah.
in this picture.
Yes.
I think that's fair.
I
Paul
think
Newman was gorgeous.
They were
so-
cut from a similar
Yeah.
cloth, though, but McQueen had a cooler edge to him that I think. Not that Newman couldn't be cool, but McQueen sort of had this. I think you got to see him in movies too, because I think Listman's right. Is he was a good-looking guy, but his personality was so much of what made him attractive.
Yeah.
He just was fucking cool, man. Now let's talk
Yeah,
about.
it's like if Willem Dafoe and Paul Newman combined,
Sure.
that's what he
I can
looks
see
like.
that. I can see
Yeah,
that.
he was a little edgier than Newman. Newman was a little bit more of a straight-ahead hero. McQueen had a little bit more darkness and rough around the edges. So I think that was also appealing for women who were maybe and you know,
Really into Robert Redford and Butch Cassidy and the
yeah,
Sundance Kid.
a little bit more in that vein.
A
Yeah,
little bit more of the gruff.
yeah, a little bit tougher. But so Jeff Wincott. This is our first movie with Jeff Wincott. It won't be our last. This guy made a number of these kinds of movies. He is. I think he's pretty good.
He's pretty good. Yeah, the script gives him basically nothing to work with.
Yeah.
But in
this is a
spite
guy-
of that, he still gives a pretty believable performance.
And if you look at his career, he does do a lot of these kind of B action movies where his martial arts get used, but he also is in like real stuff too. He was on Sons of Anarchy and 24. He's in the Netflix show The Night Of. His brother is an actor I love, Michael Wincott, who people may remember. He's played a lot of bad. He was just in Nope, actually, Michael Wincott. That was out this summer.
Cool.
So I haven't seen that.
Not a martial artist, just a really, really good actor. So both actors, and then Jeff also with the. But I think in terms of for a martial law sequel, God, what an improvement! I would much rather watch this guy.
Yes.
Yeah, and especially because there's not a lot of other great acting in the movie. He
really
definitely is up there as like
you
Yeah.
actually
MVP
want to
actor.
watch him. I think is the key there, which is sort of different than a Chad McQueen because
Yeah.
this is where. With martial law, it was like, oh, Chad McQueen's terrible, but hey, our villain David Carradine's a really good actor. Here it's reversed now, and this villain, oh Jesus Christ,
Is
Like
just
who's like
nothing.
a low rent Henry Cavill looking type with a weird ponytail.
Paul Johansson is our who goes on to be. Does anyone remember the teen series One Tree Hill?
Yes.
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 He was the villain on that show for like longer than 9 seasons. He did that,
Good Lord.
and that's kind of where the acting that watching this, you're going like, yeah, that's
I mean,
soap
it's a
opera.
CW show, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Teen soap opera. He was the angry dad or something on that. I don't know.
Can I ask you something, John?
Yeah.
Why does I would say 45% of the villains in this movie have the same exact hair?
I know.
Because
On a ponytail.
there's a
I
henchman
know.
in this
Well,
movie who looks exactly like the main villain, and so there's a part where I'm like, wait, hold on, are they fighting the main villain right now? I
No.
cannot tell.
Yeah.
It was
It
baffling choice.
It does seem like this villain has surrounded himself with an army of guys who look like him.
To work for him, your hair has to be a certain length.
Yeah,
You better grow that hair out, pal.
And his main henchman had the longest ponytail.
Oh my
He
God.
was so sleepy.
Yeah, Tanner, the sleepy henchman.
Yeah.
He needed a nappy nap.
Yeah.
Every line was delivered like he was mid-yawn.
Yeah, he sounded like Eeyore.
It was very entertaining. I loved him. Also, that dude was greased the fuck up for his like big like fight scene. Oh, I'm sorry. If you're gonna make a bet with somebody, why would you bet
Okay,
to buy their business for $10 million?
if you don't have $10
If you
million
don't have $10 million, just be like, no, just give. If I win, I get your business. If you win, you get my business.
Yeah.
Why are like, if I win, I get to buy your business. So this dude's still gonna get $10 million. I'm like, why are you bad at gambling?
We're getting into the.
I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
We are getting ahead of ourselves, but it is baffling that decision in this movie.
Well,
so confused.
because here the thing is, and we know this, the martial arts movies don't need the best plots because they're mainly excuses for fights. But there's so much in the plot in this movie almost feels like they put no thought to it. So there's stuff like that where you're just like, well, that doesn't make sense. I don't follow, and I don't quite know what anyone's trying to achieve exactly.
No,
It's
no,
all
it's
just
not
like
clear.
it seems like it's like I said, it's all just vague crime. There are guns and drugs and you're like, but the problem there being that then for the stakes you go like, well, if they don't bring this guy down, then what?
He owns this company that
Yeah.
he bought for $10 million.
There's no I'm gonna take over this city. There's no I'm gonna release a super virus or something like that. You know, the classic sort
It's
of
not
action
even like
things.
there's not even like I'm going to be peddling hard narcotics. You know. in
Yeah,
the
where's
city.
that? It's once again, it's like I guess he's maybe in drugs, kind
It's
of.
not clear.
It's only like a personal vendetta. Like it's only personal stakes for that one guy, Greg. What's his actual name? We couldn't remember the main.
Sean?
We couldn't remember the main character's name, and we kept calling him something different every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until somebody said his name, and then we were
Shon
like, oh, his name's
Thompson.
Sean.
Because
Yeah,
who
we
could
didn't-
care? Like that's such a boring name.
Yeah.
Sean
We knew
Thompson.
everybody else's name, but we didn't know his name.
Until like a half hour into the film, we're like, oh, it's Sean.
Well, because
Okay.
they do keep saying other people's names so much. Krantz and Dobbs and Tanner and there's
Yeah.
a
Billy.
lot of Bill. Oh yeah, Bill. Well, of course Billy. Who
Of
could?
course, Billy.
Cynthia Rothrock is Billy Blake.
Like, yeah.
Great name.
And
Now
it's-
that's a memorable name.
Billy Blake. Yes, that's an action hero name. Billy Blake.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sean Thompson. Now, I will say this is another kind of bait and switch for us, Listman, though. Because the whole
It is.
poster is just Cynthia Rothrock, martial law 2. And we're like, great, she's going to be the main character in this one. Nope.
No.
She's probably in
No.
this one as much as she was in the last one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad.
I think she gets
that
spotlighted
Sean-
more in the fights.
Yes, I'm glad that Sean is a better actor. or what is his name? What is the actor's name?
Jeff Wincott.
Jeff. I'm glad that Jeff is a better actor, but
Yeah.
I wish that Cynthia Rothrock was the main protagonist of this film.
Because I mean, she's got a couple of great moments in this movie.
She does, and this is like the role that she plays. So it's not like, I'm not saying she's amazing in this movie, but like she always plays this type of character, so she can at least do it pretty well.
I mean, we are kind of going backwards here, right? We're in 1991. This is only 1 year, by the way, after the first martial law, and this is the same year as Tiger Claws.
Right, exactly. And those characters are interchangeable.
Jesus, I mean, Tiger Claws might as
the
well be
haircut
another
is
martial law
exactly the
movie.
same.
Yeah,
exactly.
It
yeah,
might as well
haircut.
just be another martial law movie. It doesn't matter. That's the thing that I love about these. And a lot of these action movies, we see it with a lot of this stuff where you just go like, they could all just be the same character. It would never matter. You know, Chuck Norris could be the same guy in every one of his movies. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
I mean, it is, in Norris's case, it is like J.J. McQuaid and Cordell Walker are almost literally the same guy. They're both Texas
he doesn't have
Rangers.
the range. You know, he doesn't have the acting chops to make it a different character.
Well, and neither does Rothrock, really. Yeah, that's the thing where you just go.
She doesn't need to. She does the good high kicks really well. Let her just do her good high kicks.
I was so happy we got the scorpion kick in this one, because we missed it last week.
I thought there was a scorpion kick in the last one.
Was there not?
No, I thought there was.
Oh, was there?
There was a scorpion. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was.
One of them was missing a scorpion kick, and we were upset about it.
I know the last one, it didn't have her like kicking over her shoulder.
Which she does like 2 or 3 times in this thing.
She does it in this one, yes, exactly.
This one really delivered on that, which I love.
I love the scorpion kick because it's not practical at all, but it's such a visually cool move.
It is.
Like I remember seeing the first Matrix movie and seeing Trinity do that at the beginning of the film. I'm just like, this is the greatest movie ever made. You know?
Well, I mean, that in that case, I will actually agree. That might still be the greatest movie ever made, though. I mean,
it's
love
the first 5 minutes of the movie.
I thought the first 5 minutes of that movie was the creepy robot bug that made me
that's not
never watch that movie.
No, the first 5 minutes is where the agents come for Trinity, and that's where you do the thing where she leaps up in the air and the camera goes around her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I would say the creepy mechanical bug is like, I don't know, 20 minutes into the film.
Somewhere in there, yeah. Because this once you get into the Neo stuff.
Anyways.
I've seen that movie a lot.
Let's talk about the plot of Martial Law 2.
Whatever plot there. By the way, we have to do the fact that Jeff Wincott, 2 years after this movie, makes a movie called Martial Outlaw that has nothing to do with this. But we have to watch it.
We have to.
Especially because the poster is him shirtless in blue jeans holding batons.
I'm telling you, there needs to be a specific genre of martial arts film where it's a man doing high kicks in blue jeans. You know?
It is. It really, we've seen, I mean, boy, you watch anything from the 90s like this, that is what it is. And there's a lot.
I'll accept jorts as well.
Jorts. Well, we've seen some jorts in action movies before, so that's definitely an option.
But I will say, watching this, I am going like, we need to watch more Wincott movies.
I think so.
Because I think he's better than a lot of the other guys we watch.
Yes,
he is doing an amount of acting,
yes.
Which is. I mean, this, as we know on this podcast, it's a low bar.
It's a low bar.
If you give just a little bit of a performance, we're like, woo, all right.
He's got just enough of both.
Yeah. I think he took a couple acting classes in between the martial arts classes is the thing.
Right, exactly.
And that's the same with Scott Adkins, right? It's like, he also took some acting classes while he was training in martial arts. And you go, it shows. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
In this genre, it makes a guy like Scott Adkins look like Academy Award worthy level compared to these other because you're going like, he has some understanding of how to play a character, and I think it's the same thing with Wincott.
And I don't know if it's like I don't know if it's that some of the action stars just aren't even bothering with like acting. I think acting is more intuitive for some people than others, so it might take a little bit more work than they're willing to invest in, but perhaps this guy, Wincott, and say Scott Adkins, maybe they're just more disposed to like getting it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're just a little bit more.
Well, and like I said, Wincott's brother is like a very serious dramatic actor, so I think there's in that family there's acting,
Exactly. So he's seen examples of
Michael Wincott, one of those guys that if I you know him, you've seen him in a bunch of stuff. It's just he's the bad guy in the 90s Three Musketeers movie.
Oh, nice.
He's really good at. He was a villain on. Oh no, he wasn't a villain. He was just a character on 24. They were both on 24.
Okay.
Michael Wincott, very good friends with Kiefer Sutherland. So.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, besties.
Yeah. So yeah, we open up with a biker gang, which is. You just throw a biker gang into this movie. They show up like twice, and I'm going, what? By the way, listen, I didn't catch this. I don't know if you caught this, but just looking at the trivia, the biker gang cuts, their vests, are reused from Stone Cold.
That makes so much sense.
I did read that in the trivia.
And I went,
why does that sound familiar? And now I'm remembering that is a movie that I don't know if I watched, but you did.
We watched some of it.
And that whole movie is about a guy fighting a biker gang.
That's the one with Stone Cold Steve.
No. Weirdly not.
That's not the one with Where'd You Learn to Fight Like That? From
no,
Fighting.
That's Arsenal. Not Arsenal. Recoil. Jesus Christ. Yeah. That's how interchangeable these titles.
Straight.
I know, especially the one-word titles. I can't fuck. Is it Arsenal, Firefight? Whatever. They're all the same movie.
I find myself in conversations starting to have an encyclopedic knowledge of shitty action movies.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this might be a problem. Like, I'm just realizing, like, oh, you're probably talking about the early 90s era of Chuck Norris, when he had this length of hair and no beard.
I mean, this podcast will lead to our scholarly book of essays about this era of action.
Exactly.
And how this podcast will lead to your mutual demise.
Oh, well, of course.
I mean, we always knew this was a self-destructive quest.
Yeah, our magnum opus will be a dissertation on how these kinds of movies affected the American.
Oh, I can't wait until we're offering a film school class on this. We'll be teaching. We'll start plugging the college we're teaching at now. And we're going and it's us going now. If you notice here, when Cynthia Rothrock uses the scorpion kick in this movie. But
that exact same move was used 10 years later in The Matrix.
Yeah. Now, what does that say about society? No. So this is the directorial debut of Kurt Anderson, a man who will also direct Martial Outlaw, previously mentioned. But he's also the director of a movie I really want to do at some point on here, which is, speaking of Stone Cold, it's another Brian Bosworth movie, and it is called One Tough Bastard.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great.
Now that's a title.
That is an action movie title.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting, and I swear to God, if he's just some little wet blanket, I'm gonna be so mad.
No, he was the guy in Stone Cold.
Not the Boz. Never. The Boz would never be a little wet blanket. No.
I guess he's a football player.
Former NFL superstar Brian Bosworth.
You say the titles of movies like I know what that movie is.
Encyclopedic knowledge of the most useless.
Can I just read it? The titles of his movies tell you his whole career. They're all action show movies. So he did Martial Law 2. Then he does Bounty Tracker.
That sounds right.
Martial Outlaw. Open Fire. Dead Cold. One Tough Bastard. And his last movie was The Killing Grounds.
Yeah. Okay.
That sounds remember this movie. This had the exploding helicopter.
Yes.
That was a fun one.
Stone Cold is one of my favorites we've ever done.
It was
a
lot of
fun. Stone Cold. Stone Cold is like a pure action shelf classic. It really is. So we start with this weapons deal, and Wincott undercover as a drunk homeless guy.
Now, stop me if this sounds familiar. But it's an undercover sting in the middle of a park in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And now, Cynthia Rothrock is a hot dog vendor.
Well, that's a little different from Ice Cream Vendor. I think was
Ice Cream Vendor was Tiger Claws, right?
Well, I thought it was
maybe it's Rage and Honor.
No, it was Guardian Angel.
Oh, who
Yeah.
could
Was how
care?
that movie
That's
started.
what's amazing. Yeah, I don't even remember. They all run together. This might as well be the beginning of all of the movies we watched
Exactly.
this month.
Yeah.
That's exactly my point. This movie starts in a way that most Cynthia Rothrock movies
What I
start.
love is they don't even set her up with the hot dog vendor exactly.
Nope.
It's like once the action starts, they just cut to her and you're like, oh, I guess Cynthia Rothrock's here too.
You realize she's a hot dog vendor as soon as she throws a hot dog in somebody's face.
Which I did love.
Oh yeah, well I mean, the Rothrock movies she learned from Jackie Chan use that environment as weapons.
Yes. Not enough action movies do that, and I think that's
so
why
sad.
I love these movies so much.
Yeah.
Is she does use her environment to her advantage.
And so they just start beating the shit out of these bikers who were doing a gun deal of some sort. Once again, as you do right in the middle of the day in a public park.
And yeah, in a public park, like, don't find an alleyway. No, that's too sketchy. Let's do it in the middle of the park. Why not?
And literally, they brought a big crate of like machine guns. How are they going to covertly get those?
Don't worry,
anywhere?
they're just apples.
Yeah.
We're apple farmers.
Because the guy's going through, we got Uzis, Mech 10s, M16s. I'm like, oh, so just the most murderous automatic weapons. Great.
And if you're wondering if they look inconspicuous, don't worry. They look like they walked straight out of henchman school.
Yeah.
It's
like fresh out.
And I mean, no wonder the police are all over them.
They didn't even know it was going down. They were all just on break, and they were like, that seems kind of sketchy.
Yeah.
Everyone, pay
Why,
attention.
Those are the most criminal-looking men we've ever seen.
It was at this point where I'm like, I would love to be. Now I realize a lot of these henchmen are stuntmen, which makes sense.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I would love to be like a henchman in like a biker outfit, just in the background of one of these movies. I think that would be.
They just glue a big mustache to you, and you're like,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to see a special guest star on Sons of Anarchy, Michael Listman. That's right.
That would be amazing.
That's right, Charlie Hunter. Move out of the way. There's a new biker in town.
And and this is where I realized that the writing in this movie is very good because one of them says, "Show me some dead presidents."
Oh, I did love that.
Great line.
And then
referring to money.
Doesn't one of them go?
I hear Grant's your favorite.
That was exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah, I hear Grant's your favorite. By the way,
we had to rewind for that bit. We had to go back to here.
Three separate men wrote this movie. I don't understand how it took 3 guys to write this film.
You know they wrote it and they're like, "This is a cool line."
Oh
yeah. And they all 3 of them were like, "This is it."
I doubt they were in the same room at the same time.
No,
they all were in the same room at the same time just to write that, and then they were like,
and they
all
couldn't leave until the script was done because there was a man with a gun outside telling them to complete it. It was Jeff Wincott.
Script. I'm just looking at what these guys. So, I mean, one guy wrote the first movie, which makes sense.
Okay,
Richard
great.
Brandis wrote the first movie. Then you have Pierre David. This is his first screenplay.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you have Giles Fitzgerald, and this is his only screenplay. So
that also makes a lot of sense.
So you've got the guy who wrote the first movie, a guy who's primarily a producer who's doing some writing on this, and then a guy who literally never works again. That kind of adds up. That's exactly who. And the guy who wrote the first martial law.
He's the guy that provided the Grant line, and he went,
Yeah.
I think I peaked. I'm out.
Yeah, he did.
I'm done.
He came in, he wrote that line, he left, and they
Yeah.
were like, I guess we got to credit him. It is the best line in the movie.
Yeah, so it's the Wincott and Rothrock beat all these guys up because lest we forget, the title is the main character's nickname. The cops know him as Martial Law.
Did forget about that.
Which is great. I love that. Yeah, he is martial law. I need more kung fu cop movies. It's now like my favorite subgenre of this. Just the idea of, oh, who's he? He's the guy in the force who does our kung fu.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then they're like, we're going to transfer you to start up a new kung fu unit.
Oh,
I'm like,
God.
oh,
I'm so mad there's not a third movie that's just about a whole unit of kung fu cops.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be like the second Dirty Harry movie, Magnum Force, but with kung fu.
Yeah. I
That's a
love
reference
it.
Maggie gets.
Totally. I've definitely seen a Clint Eastwood movie.
That
before.
is, I think that's actually. I mean, the first one is so iconic, but Magnum Force might be my favorite of the Dirty Harry movies. Actually,
It's arguable as to which one.
Those first two are great, and then the other three are varying degrees of watchable.
I like the fifth one.
Oh,
Deadpool.
Yep.
The Deadpool.
It's pretty ridiculous. I liked.
I
do
love
like
when he
the-
breaks the fourth wall and talks to the camera.
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
I love
right.
Ryan Reynolds. In
Yeah.
that movie. So funny.
I mean, that movie does end with him with a giant harpoon gun, so how bad can it be?
Ooh.
It also has Liam Neeson
And Jim Carrey. Both
Jim Carrey.
both pre-fame Liam Neeson and Jim Carrey. It's
Very
weird.
strange.
So we get our opening title sequence, which is just Jeff Wincott and a gi doing martial arts moves.
Yes.
Do we know that is Jeff Wincott?
I think it is. I mean, it's in
He has
shadow.
a ponytail, and he doesn't have a ponytail for the rest of the movie.
I get a haircut.
So is it just some guy?
Well, I don't know. It could be Jeff.
I
Wincott.
thought it was him, and then I was confused because he didn't have a ponytail for the rest of the movie.
Right,
but, you know,
exactly. But
sometimes-
everybody else had a ponytail,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's
he
really-
wanted to be different. You know?
I think
I
it
guess.
is
Gotta
Wincott. They have it listed as Wincott here on IMDb.
Okay,
But it may have
then-
been a thing where he had a ponytail for another movie and they shot this later or something.
Could be. Yeah, that could
They
be.
added this. But I just, once again, it's a very 90s thing, the idea of just like, it's just a guy in shadow doing martial arts moves, and your divorced, problematic dad is going, hell yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be so good. And you know what? I was also saying that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, it did.
Give us punches and kicks.
But I mean, listen, you and I both like love to settle into a martial arts movie. I do.
Yes.
Even the dumb ones are like a nice warm blanket to me. There's just something about seeing these and just going like, ah, yes, a martial arts movie. And you know the mindset to get in. We're not in reality. This is real escapist fiction. A world where like martial arts are the primary form of combat, especially in modern day, is like, all right, we're completely leaving reality. There is so little gun use in this movie, which is insane.
Oh, which I love.
But
and no explosions, I don't think.
That's true.
no, I know. I wonder if that's a budgetary thing, because how could they resist?
Probably, yeah.
This does have one of the best gun deaths, though, I've seen.
That was a lot.
We don't normally appreciate gun deaths in these movies because they are so ubiquitous and generally not exciting, but Wincott does have one of the best uses of a firearm in an action shot.
Does execute somebody like.
Well, there's the execution, but I'm also talking about when he flips the shotgun upside down and shoots the guy behind
yes.
it. There are
Is that when there's like a piece of hair glued to the end of it?
No, that's the execution.
That's the execution
the
one,
execution.
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
We'll talk about that, but yeah, there is some good shotgunning, which I appreciate in this.
Yeah, shotgun is a very visually like interesting weapon.
You
I
see
feel
it a
like.
lot in action movies because it's cool. There's parts of it that move, like
It's
pumping
not
a
practical
shotgun
in any way, but
no,
it
it's
is
a
visceral.
stupid weapon to use in this context, but I love it. I love a shotgun being used as a handgun in any of these.
Oh, so good.
It makes no sense. So anyway, we do our martial arts. When they make him a detective, was he not already a detective?
I don't remember. I have no memory of the first movie.
I
so
mean, he was doing detective work, but whatever. They make a big deal about you're a detective now, but Cynthia Rothrock isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like, when do we move out? And he's like, oh no, we got to keep her here.
Yeah.
And it's like,
She's a woman. She
she's
doesn't
a-
deserve
Well,
to be
he's like, well,
detective.
she's got to help me, and I'm like, because you're incompetent. Yes, this
Yes.
sounds correct.
Uh-huh.
Well, and in the first movie, they are very clearly in a romantic relationship. Here, I guess they are, but it's not as explicit as it was in the first movie.
It was
like
it was about 46 minutes when it was revealed. 45 minutes.
Because
45 minutes in
right
the
from the
film, and I
beginning of the
was like,
first movie,
oh,
they were.
okay.
But in the first movie, they were together right from the start, and it was very. I mean, I think we literally start with them in bed in that first movie, and she's
Why
like,
would
"I got to
you
get to
start
work."
that way with
I
this
know.
character?
Here, Wincott and Rothrock don't exactly play it as sexual chemistry throughout the movie.
No,
They really
not
do feel like partners, which is fine. It's just if this is the sequel to the first movie, that's interesting.
It is interesting. They're almost assuming that you have that knowledge that they're
Yeah,
together.
it's the movie. Yeah, it is the movie just going like, we don't need to push this. You know how it is.
I was also confused because for a good chunk of this movie, I forgot that the main character is supposed to be the same main character as the first movie.
Right.
So then when they did have like a scene where it was like, oh no, they are dating, I was like, oh, okay, so they are dating, and then we found out it's the same guy, and I was like, okay, so they've been dating?
Well,
Yes.
I will say
don't
they didn't
act
even
like it, but I'm not mad about it.
Yeah.
the movie.
But
It's interesting that I also had the same thing where I kept on reminding myself it's supposed to be the same guy because the movie doesn't do a lot to feel like a sequel. I
No.
mean, Jeff Wincott is a totally different physical style, different facial features, different personality.
Yeah.
There is no attempt to make this feel like the same guy. And it almost is like it doesn't. It is the same guy in name and in that he's also martial law, but no, but the movie is just like, who cares though?
It doesn't even need to be. I mean, it's like you said. This doesn't even need to be martial law 2. It could be anything.
It could be, and it does almost seem like whatever, man. They're gonna pick up something at the video store. It doesn't matter if you've seen the other. I think this is an era where that was kind of. I bet if we watch Rage and Honor 2, it would also feel like, even though it has the same actors, there's not a lot carrying it forward as a franchise. I think
Yes.
Tiger Claws is more specifically a trilogy of films because that actually carries the same villain and
Yes.
main characters.
Yes. Yeah, that is definitely the movie I'm most interested in seeing the sequel.
Well, it's
to.
the only one that feels like it sets up a sequel at the end by keeping the guy
Exactly.
alive and stuff like that.
Ah.
So.
Bring back Bolo.
More Bolo across all these movies. I
Yes.
love Bolo Jung. That
He's
guy
great.
is amazing.
Yes.
Because he is in one of my all-time favorite martial arts movies, Bloodsport.
Mhm.
So yeah. So okay. We meet a guy who just has to be crooked, the captain, because he's played by Billy Drago.
Mhm.
An actor who I like quite. We previously saw him in Invasion USA.
That's what he was.
That's
in.
what
Okay.
you saw him in. Because Michael was like looking at his IMDb and was like, "Oh, he's been in a lot of stuff, but I don't think you've seen any of it." Cut to me going through his IMDb, being like, "Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that. I've seen that. I've
He's
seen
on
that.
the
I've
X
seen that."
Files,
Yeah.
Supernatural.
Yeah.
He's
He was the bad guy. Well, I mean, there's things I know him from that probably aren't what Maggie knows him from, but like he's one of the bad guys in The Untouchables, which is like in my top 10 movies of all time. But he was also the villain on Bruce Campbell's show, The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
Oh yeah,
He was the main villain.
Had a show.
Yeah,
Oh,
Western show.
And it was great. It was like Indiana Jones in the Old West. It
Yeah,
was canceled unfairly, and it's so good.
Yeah.
I highly recommend The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. But he was John Bly, the main bad guy that Briscoe County was chasing throughout the series. But I mean, Billy Drago, this is another guy. Once again, has nothing to do in this movie, but is a good, real deal character actor.
He is a good actor. I do feel like he's phoning it in a little bit.
Oh,
in
I
this
think
film,
I think
which
he knows.
I can't blame him for.
This is a guy who was in De Palma movies and stuff, and now it's like, I'm doing martial law too. Let's save the energy.
Yeah, he tends to go more like spooky movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, he
Lots
was also in Charmed. He was in Mysterious Skin, which is a good movie, and spooky
Tremor-
in a different way.
Tremors 4.
Yeah,
Tremors.
he's
Everyone's favorite.
definitely a genre guy though. Sci-fi,
Yeah.
horror, some action stuff. But yeah, I also kind of associated him with horror, sci-fi. Yeah, Mysterious Skin.
He has an unsettling face.
He does.
Yes.
That's why when he shows up as the captain, I'm like, crooked. He's crooked.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's Billy
Yes.
Drago. I never trust this guy.
Why would you cast him as this role if he's not crooked?
And spoiler alert, he's crooked.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a red herring, folks. It's
He's-
the real deal.
And this is once again with the plot of the movie. He is crooked because he is banging one of the women that works for the bad guy, and he is using that as blackmail to get
Yes.
him to do stuff, which is
Yes.
a weird way to make Billy Drago crooked.
Yeah. Yeah, it is strange.
Because they want him to be the, like, I'm reluctantly crooked.
Oh, yeah.
I
the-
just
the
I
end of
really
this
love
movie.
this woman, and she is in deep with this super sketchy ponytailed
And
man.
she will be murdered unceremoniously because it's an action shelf movie.
No, she's so hot. I was so mad.
Well, we were mad because we forgot that him and her were a thing.
Yeah.
Because it almost seemed like it was setting up her and Cynthia Rothrock being a thing. And we're like,
Oh,
now you've got my attention.
Now you've got my
movie.
attention.
okay. I mean, I maybe
they could have been it, baby, but no.
agreed.
Y'all weren't
Maybe
ready for
just
that.
because I kept thinking in this, I never thought that was a possibility. Only because it's an action movie from 1991. There was no way in hell that was going to happen. Beyond
In my fan fiction, it is.
I mean, beyond some way you don't want it to happen in a very Cinemax male gazy way, it might have happened.
Well, the only reason I say that is because Cynthia Rothrock had better chemistry with this actress than with anybody else.
Agreed on that point 100%. I actually thought this actress kind of made Cynthia Rothrock better. I actually liked their scenes together. This woman I thought was pretty good once again.
She was. She's probably, out of all of the performances, she was probably my favorite.
Yeah, she was definitely up there.
Deborah Driggs, who plays this part.
Yeah. She definitely.
Tiffany, I think, is the name
Tiffany
of the
is Deborah Driggs. Now, say what you. I'm not here to judge anything, but did start as a Playboy centerfold.
Gotta make that money.
Yeah, and did some acting, but not much. Not much.
She could have.
I agree. I thought she actually had some good presence in this thing. Oh, she's in something called Total Exposure that looks like an Action Shelf movie. Oh my God, 100%. Because the tagline is "A woman to die for, a secret to kill for."
Oh wow!
And it's got her splayed out in a bikini, and then a guy in sunglasses with a handgun. So
that makes
sense. That's just a James Bond poster.
Yeah, I mean it's the same year as this too, and it specifically makes the point of introducing 1990 Playboy centerfold. So that is directly appealing to the divorced dad. Going, you know her from the pages of Playboy, which you definitely have a subscription to. Now rent this violent action movie where she will certainly have a nude scene.
Yeah.
And she does in this movie too, a little bit. Although I will say, not as exploitative as I would have expected from an Action Shelf movie.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, the club isn't necessarily a strip club. No. It's like more like a go-go dance kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very interesting.
I know.
Not like I was like, I don't care either way. Strip club, no strip club. I don't really have like a issue either way. But...
We expect strip club in these movies.
Yeah, so it was kind of like, oh,
I thought,
this woman's just on stage and she's just wearing an outfit with some like fringe. Cool.
Yeah. The nightclub is so ill-defined in this movie.
Also, they're like, we have an exclusive clientele, and I'm like, you're just bad at getting bodies into your club. That's what that means.
Well, I just think there wasn't that many extras that they could get on set.
No, that's a total excuse for
what it actually was.
Yeah. And we've done that, Listman, where it's like, we'll put a line in explaining why there are a few people in here.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. So let's see. This is also where we meet Detective Deadmeat. Because when he goes, "Hey, it's my old best friend from the Academy days," I'm like, "This guy, countdown to this guy's murder."
Danny Borelli.
Borelli, and you're just like,
snap.
The second he's like, "I'm your friend. I'm just off of booze. I'm getting my life together." I'm like, you are fucking dead, man. You are so dead in this movie.
R.I.P. to this man. Yeah. He's not going to be in the second half of it.
It's like, dude, I give you 20 minutes tops to live through this movie because it is not going to happen. And then he will die in an incredibly stupid way that is mostly his own fault.
Yes.
It's doing terrible surveillance work.
He didn't really... think that through, did he?
I also love that we meet the villain through where once again the scene starts like, well, this is the villain, when they have a news reporter going, he's the richest man in the city and he's giving so much back to charity. I'm like, villain. Yes. And also he's doing karate in the which, by the way, no surprise here, this actor does not know any kind of martial arts.
What?
No. Are you sure?
Then that's another problem, though, right? Is we go from David Carradine to a guy who, when he actually has to throw down with Wincott, they have to cut around him a lot, and he doesn't know moves. And you're like, man, this is the climactic fight because it's the worst fight in the movie.
And I'm wondering if that's why his hair was that way, so that they could put a wig on a stuntman.
Good point. Yeah. Because
there were some shots in that last fight scene where I'm like, that's got to be a stuntman.
It has to be.
I don't remember a lot of that fight scene because
It's boring.
I kind of
Yeah.
like, if the movie's not holding me, I will just go to my phone and be like, what's happening on here?
Yeah.
This
So I
guy-
kind of missed that fight. I kept looking up and being like, oh, this is still happening. Great. Okay.
Yeah.
So this guy is a former professional basketball player in the Canadian Basketball League, which I've never heard of. They're not a country known for basketball players.
No.
NBA legend Steve Nash is the only. I mean, this is nobody's gonna care. This is not the podcast talking about basketball. But is
he also Canadian?
He's
Steve Nash, yeah.
Steve Nash is the only like Canadian superstar basketball player I can think of.
And I only know his name because he's mentioned in a Nelly Furtado song.
Oh,
this
cool.
is how I learn about people.
Yeah, there you go.
Basketball, one of the
Right.
only sports I actually pay attention to. So, but but once again, no martial arts and
Nope.
don't do that. And also, I think a key thing when you talk about the stuntman is at the end of the movie, lots of suddenly the camera's out farther away than it is in other. It's just not.
It's a very poorly lit fight scene intentionally.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
By the way, they set up this whole thing in the scene with his father, and then not much comes of that.
His father's only in this one scene, I think.
I know, but I wrote it down to be like, okay, setting up his father. That's going to be and actually like a father-son gangster thing could have been interesting.
I mean, we've seen it in a lot of things. First John Wick, the two villains are,
and that's so
that
key
is
to that.
interesting.
Oh, I love the villain in John Wick.
I know.
Yeah.
It was so sad. I was in denial that he died. Do
I
you
know.
remember?
Yeah.
You had to be like, no, honey, he died. And I went, no, he didn't. And he's like, he did. I know. I'm sorry.
The old man gangster, the son.
Yeah, I
Oh.
loved him.
Oh well, we are gonna when we get into some other content, we're gonna watch. He's the bad guy in the fourth Mission Impossible as well.
Cool.
Let's see. So we go. Oh yeah. So this is where the guy's gonna get killed due to his terrible surveillance work. Because that, by the way, once again, very stupid place for a drug deal.
Yes.
Oh, what the bad guy has a douchey name. What is it, Spencer something?
Spencer Hamilton.
Spencer Hamilton.
Spencer Hamilton.
That's
Yeah.
a douchebag name.
It is.
Yeah.
And his main henchman is Tanner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
and he
what the
is Tanner than him. So,
That
I
is
mean, I
true.
think
Yeah.
that's
Come on,
why-
Tanner.
Come on, Tanner.
Come on, Longtail.
Longtail.
He has a longer ponytail.
Yeah.
I love all the scenes where people are pulling their hair back, though. You know,
It's a
it's
lot.
very realistic.
So much of that, which I did think was great, where it's like, we're about to fight. I'm gonna take my I'm gonna wrap my hair in a ponytail.
I told Michael, I was like, you've literally seen me do that every time I go to eat something.
Yeah.
He's like, yes.
I did think that was kind of a nice beat you never see in something.
But then he puts his ponytail back, and it's like perfect. And I'm like, well, okay.
That's not how
That's
that
not
works.
how that looks.
Not to
That's fine.
keep
It's
talking
fine, I'll allow
about my favorite action franchise, Mission Impossible, but there is a great moment in the fifth one where the female lead is about to fight, and you see her make a point of taking off her heels and handing them to Tom Cruise and going, all right, now I'm going to go fight somebody.
Yeah.
Same thing. I like those moments where it's like, all right, I got to prepare to fight.
You put the heels on your hands, and then you stab people with it.
Wow, that's I have seen a few stabbings with heels in movies.
I have seen that too. Yeah.
But
What about in real life?
Noel, not in real. I haven't. To be fair, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone stabbed in real. Like,
Well,
truly
you gotta, John. You
stabbed.
gotta go out.
You gotta
with
get
us
out there
sometime.
more.
Yeah.
You guys are always going to places where people get another stabbing.
Yeah.
So
I'm banned in a lot of places.
they're having this drug deal underneath an overpass in the most brightly lit part of the highway.
Yes.
They are
So you can
constantly
see the drugs.
I got to be able to take a look at these drugs. But they are constantly just out in the open doing crime in this movie.
Yes.
But even more out in the open, keep in mind, this is a freeway overpass. So they're underneath the overpass. And this cop has just pulled his car into the middle of the road and he's snapping pics. What are you doing? They spot him, of course.
Immediately. Yeah. He's not being subtle at all.
Immediately, there's a gun to
Well,
his
he's
head.
like,
and
well,
they've
they're
got
not
him.
being subtle, so obviously I don't have to be subtle. And
I
it's
guess.
I mean, that's weird logic, but go off.
I guess we're just not doing subtlety today. Okay, all right.
All right.
We'll
Well,
I
snap
could play
away.
ball.
Yeah. And he's
Let
snapping
go.
away with the photos. And yeah, they put a gun to his head and capture him. And then they really wail on this guy. Which
It's like, okay, did everyone get their punches
Yeah,
in?
literally everybody in the group punches him at some point.
But that's also where you go, we don't get into it, but I'm going, is the medical examiner crooked? Because I
I had the
understand
exact same thought.
you would sustain injuries in a car crash, but it would be pretty clear this man was horribly beaten.
And his neck was snapped, I believe, is how he died.
Yeah.
Yeah, they snapped his neck, and then
And not like
well,
snap,
before he died, they like put a bunch of booze in him.
which
so that it would
I love
kill
that
him.
shot where they open up like a bottle of whiskey and dump it down his throat.
Yeah.
But they would also see that the way his neck snaps is not how your neck would snap in a
Yes.
car crash. It was
Yes.
snapped to the well, in that action movie way that we talk about, you can't really break someone's neck.
No,
That is a constant action movie myth. Is that like I'm just gonna grab your head and twist?
I mean,
And
it'll hurt. Like if you ever turns your head a little too
Yeah.
fast and your whole neck cramps up, that's
it's
what would happen.
you'd have to be so strong to actually turn it to the point that it snaps and kills somebody.
Yeah.
You know that like a full 180 turn the head around.
But yeah, I had the exact same thought. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, so the medical examiner's probably in on it, but they don't even bring that up.
No, that we
so-
never see this medical examiner character. We don't even really refer to them. So
No.
it is. Yeah, it's just like I guess. Yeah, everybody. I mean, it's another movie where I just have to assume everybody's in on it. The only way this works is literally everyone is crooked.
I guess if the police chief is in on it, then
Yeah.
it's not much of a leap to then be like, oh well, then probably the medical examiner. But they do bring up the question without answering it in this film because they don't.
This also features one of my favorite things in any of these movies, and I feel like has been a staple of the Rothrock movies: a guy questioning the entire concept of martial arts.
I do love that they're like, wait, punches
Yeah,
and kicks?
well,
But what about guns?
because it's always because Jeff Wincott is they supposedly teaching a class which seems to just be him beating people up in this dojo.
Yes,
Which is pretty
with
funny.
jazzy pop music.
Yeah, that but
The jazzy pop music was lit. I was into it.
That is intercut with the bad guys murdering his friend, which
Yes.
is weird filmmaking.
It is.
I don't know why those scenes are linked for any reason.
I will say that the music in this movie was the most wild. At one point, for like the club music, it sounded very like dissonant in the beginning, and I'm like, where are we? But also, I would have this on in the background of
Yeah.
like my day-to-day life and just be like vibing to it.
I mean,
Yeah.
this movie is very 1991. Very
Yes.
much the fashion, music,
Great.
style, lighting, everything about it feels
Some
very.
of the fight scenes are scored by just percussive, like dishware, clanging. Is
Yeah.
what it sounds
Yeah,
like.
which is very that sort of industrial kind of rock music of this era.
Industrial is the exact word I was looking for.
Then that was
Yeah.
huge at this time.
Yeah.
Where it is because this is like the rise of things like Stomp and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, which God, remember when we were all why America was just like, oh my God, percussion with trash cans. This is
Do
crazy.
dance with a mop?
This is nuts.
I vaguely remember Stomp. I remember the Blue Man Group way more.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
because we were a little bit older when Blue Man Group went on the rise. But I remember
Yeah.
seeing a video of Stomp in like an elementary school music class. And even as a kid being like, well, what is this? Is this cool? I don't know.
Is everything an instrument? Is
Yeah.
that what I'm learning
The
here?
whole world is music, man.
We're just tuning in.
You get to play your little xylophone, and it's great.
But I do love the guy who pulls out his ankle gun and goes after Wincott here. We do see him make a point of ejecting the magazine from it. Like I thought about, but I did think about was there a chambered round? Because it's probably going to be trouble.
I had
but
the exact same thought. Yeah.
Uh,
Turns out, no.
no, because Wincott is going to spin that right around and put it to his head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because martial arts are better than guns. Is
Everyone knows that.
the message of this movie, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I mean, this is one of those things, too, where the guy goes, well, man, yeah, what about guns? I'm like, well, it's the idea that martial arts is some kind of replacement for firearms is always what, like, idiots say. And you're going, like, it's not, no one's saying a gun isn't going to kill you. It's just...
I think these movies are saying that martial arts are superior to guns,
I mean, that seems to be
You're
the point
not
of this
wrong.
scene. Yeah.
I mean, it's better to watch. It's more fun to watch a martial arts scene than a gunfight. But
this was something I thought about this movie, and I was thinking about why are the martial arts scenes in these movies often better than the gunfights we see? And I think it has to do with the quality of the directing, because I think with the martial arts, if you get good martial artists and good choreographers, as a director, you don't have to do much.
Yeah, they kind of do your work for you.
Yeah, because we've talked about, in fact, it's often better if you just sort of let it play out.
Yes.
But gunfights require a real vision, and it's really on the filmmaking. So when you get guys like John Woo or Chad Stahelski doing the John Wick movies and stuff like that, is like that requires a lot of work on your part as a director. And I don't think these guys directing these movies have either the ability or the time. And the other thing is they're more expensive because now you're into pyrotechnics and effects and stuff.
Special effects, that kind of stuff,
because you know, you and I love when the John Woo bullet ballets and stuff like that.
Sure, yeah,
But-
that stuff is good, but it's rarely done, like rarely.
Yeah,
done.
and most of the gunfights that's why the couple cool gun things in this movie did stand out, because I'm like, oh, they actually found like a creative way to use guns. Because most of the time it is just people behind pillars and stuff going bang, 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 bang. And you're like, well, not interesting.
And it's like
And it goes
it's always
on forever.
75% of a film. I'm like,
Like-
this is so boring.
I mean, it is the biggest lesson from the action shelf is people shooting guns is not inherently exciting.
Yeah.
So we see that. Here we go to the club and we get it. We get this scene where our buddy Spencer has helped a woman out with some kind of loan, and she can pay it off by working in the club, kind of as a prostitute,
Like an escort.
He's like, you don't have to sleep with anyone, and I'm just like, yet.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of thing where it's like you don't. I mean, I think we've seen that before in one of the other movies too. Where it's like you don't have to sleep with someone. It's highly encouraged you should. But
you'll be coerced into it.
I'm
not gonna say it.
I love that he was like, yeah, it was a gift, and I'm like, girl, just say thank you and walk away. Don't say, oh, I can't accept that. Well, if you want to work it off, I don't. You said it was a gift.
Yeah, drives
Don't work
me.
off gifts.
This is a thing that drives me insane in movies. Movie characters are always like, no, I will pay it back. Dude, I don't understand that logic. If somebody
if you're paying for my school, I'm not paying that back.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for doing that, though.
And especially if you go, well, obviously I pay it back, and they go, really, there's no need. I'm not gonna fight somebody. Like that's insane. But movie characters are always like, no, I don't
want a handout.
Well, it's
dude. I'll take handouts all day.
Me too. Whatever, man. You want to give me money for nothing? I'll take it. What's up?
I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic example of a movie character not behaving how a human being.
No, it's just like this like, and I always think like as an audience, are we supposed to respect that? Because I don't. I go, you're being dumb.
Exactly.
That was stupid.
You are being manipulated in
Yeah.
a way that is obvious to everybody watching.
He's just a weird ponytailed rich man. Take him for all he's worth and give him nothing back. That's what your job is.
Especially a guy like this, because he wants you to. This is exactly what he wants you to do.
Yeah, that's why he did it.
Yeah,
you know?
It's a classic. Yeah, if she had just been like, "Well, cool, thanks," he would have been like, "Well, actually, wait a minute."
But if you wanted to pay me back, I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, I
And
thought it
the
was a
funny thing is
gift.
that it's already gone through, so no take backsies.
I mean,
Thank you
maybe
so
he
much.
would-
I'm gonna go get my MBA. Bye.
Maybe he would, I don't know, kill her or something. I don't know.
I mean, probably.
That could have been a
Man
scene unto
has
itself to make
terrible
him.
hair.
But then
Sure.
he immediately is like, "I want you to meet my friend, the #1 sports promoter in the city."
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, here's another question: what city is this?
Great question.
I think it's supposed to be LA because I think there are a few shots of the Hollywood sign.
in the beginning there you see the Hollywood sign. So yeah, I think it's supposed to be
supposed
LA.
to be LA.
Good. Yeah.
I don't know where it was filmed necessarily.
Oh, it was shot in
I
Los
would assume
Angeles.
it was filmed in LA.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you? That's
Yeah.
where fucking everything is filmed.
Yeah, Los Angeles. I did think briefly that it might be one of those Canadian productions. There's a lot of Canadian actors in this.
Yeah.
Because Wincott's Canadian, Paul Johansson, the Spencer, he's Canadian. So I think there's a lot of Canucks, but that's I think just there's a lot of them in the industry in general. Because a lot of stuff shoots up there. So anyway, yeah. So you get that he pawns her off on the #1 sports promoter. We'll talk about the insane scene with the two of them later. But first, Jeff Wincott rolls up to the accident scene where they found his dead friend.
This scene.
And his entire detective skill, or his entire detective thing is, but he told me he didn't drink anymore.
Yeah. And I found a matchbook.
Yeah. Here's
Great
the thing.
detective
Here's the
work.
thing I was thinking about during this list. Could we ever get a Kung Fu Cop movie where the Kung Fu Cop actually is like a good detective? Because we almost never. They always are just like, well, there's no mystery in this movie or anything to really solve.
Because his the guy who's there, the crooked cop, is like, there is absolutely no reason why he didn't drink and drive off of this himself.
There is no scenario you could possibly present.
He's laying it on a little thick.
Yeah,
if he was more blasé about it, he wouldn't be so suspicious.
But Wilcott, or I can't even remember
Wincott,
guys, Wincott. He's not suspicious of that guy until later.
No,
so he's not like, why are you so insistent upon this being an accident?
The fact that he can't figure out that Dobbs is crooked until Dobbs literally like pulls a gun on him is just insane. Because he is so insane. The captain, okay, maybe he's a little bit, because that is like a total surprise deep in the movie for them. When they're like, wait a minute, I think the captain's crooked too. Oh god, the end of this movie. The end of this movie is insane. But
the end of this movie was like, we're ending on that note. Okay.
Yeah, weird. It's like, wait, this was the tone of this movie? Okay. So Wincott, though, refuses to believe it was an accident. And you do get the captain going, classic, you stay out of this case.
Yeah.
You know he's not going to. But you've got to love that we just get a random... This is also a total movie thing where Cynthia Rothrock has apparently been to the mall, but it's also midnight and no one is around. But she's carrying bags as if she's just finished shopping. Yet no one is present and it's total darkness.
Yes.
What is this? How is this possible? But it's just so some goons can come up and attack her. And this is a great scene of, we just need a fight in the movie right now.
Yeah, we have no reason for a fight.
So much of nothing happening.
Yes.
Can we please have something happen?
Can we please?
Which, I mean, look, I enjoy watching her beat the shit out of these guys.
This is a great fight scene because she uses like the car door, or
no, that's later. That's later, and I do think that's the best fight in this movie. Is later.
I do too.
Agree.
That was easily the best fight in this movie. But no, this one is just kind of a small thing. But the whole bit here is after she's beaten everybody up, this is when mall security shows up.
Right.
And she's like, seriously?
Yeah, and she does.
Took you long enough.
Oh yeah, and she shows her badge, and she's like, took you long enough.
And she does have a one-liner, which I wrote here. There's only like 3 one-liners I wrote down. She goes, and I'm supposed to be on vacation.
Oh right, I forgot.
I'm taking a break from my kung fu law enforcement.
You can't take a break from kung fu. It takes a break from you.
It's not a job. It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
Once again, Jeff Wincott being a terrible detective, he just barges into the bad guy's nightclub and starts asking questions. Fully like, yeah, I'm a cop and I want to know what's going on.
And then he gets beat up. You know,
he gets literally kicked out of the club.
Yeah.
He gets kicked. A guy kicks him out the front door of the club.
Yes.
I think that's Tanner that does it too.
It is. Yes. Tanner and the blonde woman.
Tanner the sleepy man.
because he's like kind of a match for Tanner in this first fight scene.
Yeah.
Which is not making Tanner seem very intimidating.
No.
Later on, Tanner takes on 2 guys, but you already see the main character do very well against him.
He should really get his ass handed to him here, and then we see him have to train harder so he can defeat Tanner later.
Exactly.
That's one of those just like, guys, how do you not follow basic screenwriting on that one? Like that's the plot of every Rocky movie. Like
yes.
That's
You gotta
Batman
get your
and
shit
Bane.
rocked.
Yeah.
And then you win.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I've never seen a Rocky movie.
Yeah,
No, that's basically the plot of every Rocky movie. Is he fights a guy who's better or bigger or stronger than him, gets beaten, and then spends the rest of the movie training so he can beat that guy at the end of the movie. That's generally the plot of a Rocky movie.
Except the first one where he loses at the end, but you know.
Spoilers.
Yeah, he loses on the cards, but he wins in the hearts of the crowd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
He went because remember the
It's
whole
all about the friends you make along the way,
the
right?
first movie is all about I gotta go the distance. I just gotta survive the fight. Basically, is the thing. In the first movie.
Exactly.
Gotta run a marathon.
You know, but then and then of course Rocky IV, he's out for vengeance.
Sure, fighting, you know, Ivan Drago.
Ivan Drago, I must break you. God, those movies are great. But so let's see. Oh yeah, so then he goes to Cynthia Rothrock, goes, well, I'll help you with this illegal investigation because I need to be in this movie.
Yeah.
And so her big plan is she's going to go. I do think calling this Martial Law 2 Undercover is a weird choice. Because
it is a weird choice.
She's undercover, but it's not a major part of the movie.
No, it could have been a lot more significant, honestly.
And she isn't that undercover either, really. Like, she gets a job as a bartender. Mm-hmm. Like, I wish she was the main character, only because I also wish the movie was more about her getting embedded in the crime organization.
Right, because it was like dabbling in it. There was like, she was getting people's names, you know, she was getting relationships between the people, but it didn't ultimately
Well, and she's like, once the villain sees her fight, he kind of wants to bring her into the other side of it, but the movie doesn't have enough time left in it to really, like, have her descend into the darkness. Yeah.
She should have been like, you know, like a trial or something, like, you know, a fighting ring or something.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Well, I thought that
her fight the sleepy guy.
Yeah,
I thought that's where the movie was going. When they go to that underground fighting ring, I go, okay, now I see what the plot of this movie is. It is about some kind of blood sport thing.
Mm-hmm.
No,
it is not.
It's about bad gambling.
It's about
bummed me out because I love movies about secret underground fight competitions. It's like one of the that is maybe the best plot for a martial arts movie.
Yeah,
because
I would watch 50 movies with that plot.
Well,
we have
watched a lot of movies. With that plot.
I was gonna say I definitely have.
Basically, that Bruce Lee movie.
Which one?
The one where they go to the island with
Enter
all the
Dragon.
Enter the Dragon.
Enter the Dragon. Yeah,
but that's
Love
the thing. Well, because that's the thing is. That is a perfect martial arts plot because it requires so little setup and it is mostly fighting. I mean, Jean-Claude Van Damme made like 5 movies with that plot because it just, once again, is just you go, got it. I mean, Mortal Kombat is even that, basically.
Mortal Kombat is that. Ong Bak.
Ong Bak
is definitely that, yeah. I mean, Ip Man is that, essentially.
Yeah. Yes.
And those are all some of all my favorites because you just go like, great, just get me to the fighting. There's a loose enough plot to explain it.
Exactly. I think the script is just overcomplicating itself. I think
a lot of them are. It is sort of going like, guys, you think we care? The idea that we would ever care about whatever this drug plot is.
Nope.
It doesn't
Absolutely
matter.
not.
Just get me to Wincott and Rothrock kicking people.
Yes.
That is what I want. The
the
best
kicks, and I want the punches.
I want the kicking and the punching. This is where I very much agree with our friend Mr. Winning.
Yes.
So anyway, they so she goes to help. Everyone's upset. Oh, of course, the captain is all pissed that Wincott got into said nightclub fight. I do love Cynthia Rothrock's audition as a bartender where the guy just keeps naming drinks and she explains how they're made.
Like, that's how you you get a job as a bartender? I love it. It's like,
My favorite
I
is
could
the
look
cook-
up the ingredients. If I don't know how to combine them correctly, you're not a good bartender.
My
you know?
favorite is the Cookie Monster. He's like, this'll get the Cookie Monster.
And he even thinks for saying it does. She goes, the Cookie Monster. He's like, ha ha, gotcha. She's like, no, it's this.
Like, that's not a real drink. Y'all made that up.
Could be. I don't know.
Could be. I don't know. Now I want to go to a bar and order it.
It actually sounded pretty good.
It sounds very sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very much like a dessert drink.
Yes.
I love a good dessert drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds like one.
Drink. I love chocolate and mint.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is basically. So yeah, and then he's like, yeah, literally, she knows the ingredients to like 3 cocktails, and the guy's like, I guess you do know your stuff.
Oh, wow.
And this is set up because earlier in the movie, at like a cop party, she was tending bar, and I guess
I was so confused by that.
I guess the
was like,
movie is
wait a
like, there you go, we set that up.
Yeah, because she's
Yes,
like,
they
I'm
do.
covering for Pops, and it's like, okay, so her dad's a bartender for a cop bar.
I
And
Great.
yeah, that cop
Good
bar
job.
is. I'm sure the orders are nowhere near as complex as this trendy nightclub.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's whiskey.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Maybe Coke.
whiskey, maybe a Jack and Coke, and then probably just a lot of beer, really. You know, but here, this is where you're gonna get people ordering Mai Tais, Cosmopolitans, you
take
know,
a gin fizz. Okay.
yeah, that kind
I'll
of
take
thing.
a French 75.
Yeah.
French 75 is actually a very good drink.
But I like
10
that.
out of
Then they go like, okay, well, we're having a private party tonight. You can try out. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, way too much stuff about bartending. Do you think this is not that long after the Tom Cruise movie Cocktail? I wonder if they're going like, we'll get a little bit of that in there too.
Think? Yeah.
Of all the Tom Cruise is the best at something, I think Cocktail is just my favorite. The idea that he is the best bartender.
It's just, it's the most
Wow.
mundane out of all of them.
Yeah, it is because
Like,
it's like, well, he's the best fighter pilot, the best race car driver, and the best bartender. And the whole
They
thing.
made it now. He'd be the best barista.
Yeah. Oh, come on, Cruise, do that. I would kill to see the Tom Cruise movie where he's making coffee.
oh,
Give the people what they want.
He's the best. God damn it. No, I think this is why he constantly has to risk his life to make modern movies work. Back in the day, people just wanted to see Tom Cruise do anything.
Yeah.
He was also a great billiard player in Color of Money too, and you're like, oh, interesting.
He was also the best brother in Rain Man.
He so took care of Rain Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're naming a lot of Tom Cruise movies, and half of them I've never even heard of.
Yeah. Well,
So far, Rain Man is the only one. I'm like, oh, okay, I've heard of that one.
yeah. Well, we were kind of in the '80s with a lot of those, and I wouldn't be surprised if you haven't heard of the '80s.
Yeah,
ones.
we all know my 80s knowledge is pretty much non-existent.
These are like we were naming all the movies that like made him the movie star he is now. So
He's the best teenager in Risky Business.
actually, if you recall in that movie, he ends up the best teenage pimp,
Yes.
which
that's
is a
true.
weird plot of that movie.
It's a weird movie.
Okay.
He's not really
Interesting.
well. That is the plot of a movie about a teenage kid who allows prostitutes to use his parents' house as a brothel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a movie that I don't think you could make today.
Probably not.
And shouldn't.
So that, oh boy, let's talk about the emotional police funeral and then the immediate interrogation of the widow of his friend.
Yes. Yes, please.
Because he's doing his police work.
Mm-hmm.
I love that he's like, I don't think it was an accident. And it's like, she's going through some shit right now. Can
Yeah.
we have any ounce of decorum, my fucking dude?
They literally just buried her husband, and he's like, yeah, I think he was murdered. That's what I think.
Chill. Just, like, ask questions about how she's doing, then you can lead into, like, how they were doing, and if
Nope.
she noticed anything. No!
This movie
I
has
think
no
he was
time.
murdered.
This
Yeah.
movie has no time.
Tell me if he was ever weird about stuff.
Yeah, this is a 91-minute movie. We just got to get through it.
There's 14 fight scenes in this movie that we have to get through.
We can't have you be in the fight scene, so we got to get through this quick.
This is boring, man. You're losing the attention of the divorced dads.
They're
a
nodding
guy-
off right
It's
now.
a guy talking to a woman that they don't want to bang. So what are we supposed to do?
What are we supposed to think? Okay.
You gotta love. I do love 1990 computer scene here. 1991
Always
computer
classic.
scene of him going, file not found.
At least it's not like some sort of video game representation of the internet or hacking. You know what I mean?
That's
like
the best shit. That is the best shit in these movies.
Like
though.
the first Jurassic Park movie.
I love that.
It's perfection.
The first Mission Impossible has that too. Their presentation of
true.
email is literally like an animated letter folding, and then flying away. And you're like, when was email ever looking like that?
Never, literally never.
And there it goes.
Turns into a paper airplane.
Yeah, it did kind of, yeah. So he's poking around. His big thing is that Tiffany, the guy arrested Tiffany, but there's no record of it.
Yes.
That's the big clue in this movie.
Yes. I guess.
Yeah, and he's like, well, there's no way, like, because Cynthia Rothrock's like, oh, well, maybe it's just been, like, misplaced. And he's like, no, it's not at Central. It's not at anywhere. And I'm like, I mean, nobody in this movie is a competent police officer.
No.
So I don't know why you're shocked.
The idea of, like, what did she get arrested for? I don't think it was anything too major. So the idea that file would somehow be misplaced, especially in a pre-digital system, that's 100% believable.
Very likely.
Much like it's completely believable, except for if the Emmy had actually done his job, that a recovering alcoholic went off the wagon and crashed his car. I mean, these aren't... he is acting like there is no way in hell this could be the case. And you're going
he has faith in his friends.
Yeah.
And he has faith in the system.
Yeah.
And that is his strength, John. That is his inner strength.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's
crack the code.
That's definitely what makes this a 1991 movie, is the idea of having faith in the system.
Oof, yeah.
I feel like in the post 9/11 action movie, it's all about how I have to go against the system to achieve real justice.
Right, exactly.
Is every movie we see now. So and that's a better message because it's probably true. So Cynthia Rothrock meets Tiffany in the club, and she describes her work as she's a collector.
Yeah,
yes.
That's not weird.
Yeah, because it also makes me think of Morgan Freeman going, "This guy's a collector." From Kiss the Girls, which is one of my.
This reminds me of, we just watched The Sandman, and they
Oh.
call serial killers collectors.
They do,
right, yeah.
They do in that, and that's what Morgan Freeman's talking about in Kiss the Girls as well. So that is kind of it makes her sound creepier than she's supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm like, is she a body snatcher? Like, what's happening?
Bone collector.
She's
The
a bone collector.
Yeah, this guy is a bone collector.
Like, is she like saving, like cutting off hair and like saving it as like a trophy? Like, it made her sound a lot creepier and sketchy than what she actually does.
If she collects 100 human wishbones, then she
can wish for her freedom.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Because I think what we're supposed to mean is she's collecting debts to this guy, right? This is the idea.
Right. Yes.
But it's that's a weird term. She's like an enforcer is probably more the accurate term for it than I'm a collector.
That's too aggressive for a woman, though. She has to be a collector.
Yeah.
She can't be an enforcer.
But we also see she doesn't want to be doing what she's doing. This character, her getting unceremoniously murdered, is so terrible for a lot of reasons, but mainly because it's like she's kind of interesting and that she's going, I'm tired of doing your bidding. I want out of this.
Yeah.
And he says, sorry, that's not going to happen. And what does he have on her exactly?
I don't know.
I mean, other than she's worked for him for enough that he's got dirt on her.
I guess.
But I mean, all that goes away if you murder him.
I know. Well, it is sort of an interesting thing where she's just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then when he's like, no, you have to stay, she's just like, fine. And I didn't.
He's like, you're on thin ice, and she's like, well, I guess it's a good thing. I'm good at skating or whatever.
Oh, Jesus.
Is that actually a line?
Yes, that's actually a line. It's a good thing I'm good at skating.
I didn't write that. There's a lot of like bantery stuff like that isn't one-linery specific. Yeah, I only wrote down a few one-liners. I think I know which one is gonna win, because it's the silly one. So yeah,
Because she has like the most interesting like character backstory. There is the potential for an arc there, and then they use her, and
that could have been if it
out.
had really just focused on Rothrock infiltrating the criminal organization. They could have done a lot more with her.
Yeah,
including a sex scene between Rothrock and his
I
character.
do not trust men in the 90s to film a good lesbian sex scene.
Fair enough.
But there could have been some making out.
I don't think I trust current male filmmakers to film
just
a good
over the
That's
shirt
also true.
style, you know? Just a little
I don't
bit
trust
over.
men to film a sapphic love scene in any way.
No, certainly not. No.
What about with clown costumes?
I mean, that's
Yes.
the only way I'll accept it.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Or bear costumes.
Yeah,
When you honk a boob, it makes a honk.
yeah. I think,
Yeah.
I think a sillier sex scene. I'm always on board for.
Yeah,
with
where are
Looney
the,
Tunes
where are
sound
the
effects.
silly sex scenes?
I mean, look, MacGruber has one of the greatest sex scenes ever. I think there's a. I love those. Yeah. Wet Hot American Summer.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh
that's
my
true.
God.
That's just a great.
Yeah. Those are the kind of sex scenes I can really appreciate in film.
They're more realistic to my life.
They, in some ways, they are, just because they often portray the awkwardness of it, which I feel like is something that is. I hate. We've talked about this when we did Sworn to Justice. I hate these like beautiful, sensual sex scenes, because I'm like, man, there is no portrayal of sex is really weird. Actually, like it's and especially in a movie,
weird,
if I'm
it's
looking
awkward.
at two people having sex, that's really weird.
Yeah.
Apatow has some of the best sex scenes in his movies, because I feel like he does portray that in his films. It's a lot of like.
Kind of strange when you look at it objectively.
And it's more matter of fact and every day. It's kind of like, this isn't like stylized.
It's kind of like how Scorsese portrays violence.
Yes.
In
it's
The
the way Apatow portrays sex is very similar to the way Scorsese films murders.
Now we're getting very heady.
Now we're really getting into the dissertation.
That is our okay, here's the backroom fighting scene, and this is the betting, and once again, a missed opportunity to turn this fully into a Kumite movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted my Kumite.
Why no Kumite?
So they have this bet. Let's talk about, because you guys were talking about this earlier, but this bet that he and the city's top sports promoter,
Whatever that means.
I don't know
Whatever that means, whatever his business is, which I guess is sports promoting.
I think he's supposed to be, and this is mainly because of the time, and he's supposed to be like a Don King, like a guy who represents fighters.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's kind of what they're going for.
Yeah. Because early 90s, boxing was more of a thing.
It was, and it was guys like Don King, these sort of large in life guys who are like, I'll tell you who the best fighter is. He's my guy. That's what that kind of thing.
Right, exactly.
There was a lot of hype around fighters, and so I think that's what this guy is supposed to be. But because the script is so bad, this guy's in like 3 scenes, so we never really get a sense of him.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know what he has to do with the criminal business once again, because the movie could care less about what this bad guy is up to.
This is the last scene he's in.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't show up in the movie ever again.
Well, he is so shamed by what happens here.
He sends notes being like, 3 days till you owe me money. And it's like, why did you gamble and win and you still owe this man money?
Yeah, that is insane. If my fighter wins, I can buy your business for $10 million.
$10 million for your business. And he's like, it's worth more than double that.
Yeah,
but
if
he lost, he was just gonna give him his nightclub, and I'm like, dude, what's happening?
He is betting for a lower price on something. That's not really
it's
a thing.
Price he doesn't.
He can't afford it. I'll pay you $5 for it. What are you doing?
That is the movie clumsily trying to give us stakes and a ticking clock down the stretch. But
it's not for the protagonist.
No, so that's why it doesn't matter. So I think the idea... Okay, well, we'll talk about it when we get to it, but I think I kind of understand what the end of the movie is now. as we
Great.
put that through. So anyway, yeah.
Perfect.
Well,
You can
so
explain it to us.
Yeah, 'cause
so
I have
Tanner does beat up both of. That's the thing is, if my guy can beat both of your fighters,
2-on-1.
Yeah.
and he does, because Tanner's awesome.
Because he's
They're-
very
the
greasy.
Brolic is fuck, dude.
Yeah.
All
he ties
three
his
of them.
hair back.
He ties his hair back,
Mhm.
and he gets up there. He gets greased out. Not on screen, but that man was oiled the fuck
Oh
up.
yeah.
And then
I
they
wish
had,
he was on screen. I would have loved to see
the
him.
guy who kept his shirt on the whole time he wasn't in a lot of the fight. Like, he got knocked down, and then he was fighting that other guy for a really long time.
I did think it was funny because I kind of forgot, even though they set it up, I was like, oh, right, he's fighting two guys. That other guy was gone for a while.
He does come back,
Took
but
a
then
smoke
he's
break
taken
halfway
out.
through.
And I'm like, you were up for a while.
Yo, I'm just going to be over here for a little while.
Union rules.
You
I had to
take
care.
take a 15.
I gotta
sorry.
take a nap.
Yeah.
I'm fighting against the sleepy man, and he's making me tired.
He's
making me sleepy.
Oh, take a nappy nap.
He's over on the side of the ring going, oh, it's a bitch of a fight today, I'll tell you that right now. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. My partner's really getting his ass handed to him out there.
My name is Tanner,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna put you to sleep forever.
They were smart to give Tanner minimal dialogue. Maybe no dialogue would have been the best choice.
No dialogue would have been choice, but I do love all of his line delivery.
I'm gonna put you in a sleeper hold.
Because, he was just yawning, but
Yeah.
talking. What a unique way
Because
to deliver a line.
anytime he talks, it really undercuts how threatening he is.
Yeah.
And also the suits he wears also undercuts.
The costuming for this man did him dirty.
Made
Let
him
me
look
tell you.
4 feet tall.
I was
Yeah.
like, I think I'm taller than this man.
He was just a little fella, and I think Wincott's like a big guy, like clearly like
Right.
a tall dude. So it really
Exactly.
there's a lot of bad filmmaking choices, like just from the production side of it, where you're like, why would you? And Wincott Wincott's only 5'10", so he's like an average height guy, but he looks gigantic near this guy.
Yeah, because like I'm thinking about like Tiger Claws and like how massive Bolo appears on screen.
Yes,
because of how they film him, and it's so like that's very effective comparatively.
Oh hell
This
yeah.
guy's not intimidating
No,
at all.
in every movie I've seen Bolo in, he is always presented as just like a monster.
Right.
This guy is like, well, when you see him fight, you're like, oh, he's pretty good, but he doesn't come on screen. You're like, oh shit, can he take this guy?
No,
Comes
you're
on screen and we're like, oh, that's a choice.
Oh, this guy, huh?
Yikes.
And then the long hair on top of it is like, it's kind of goofy. It's just
yes.
weird.
It's really hard to pull off long hair like that with no shape and having a naturally
Yes.
like oval face. Like it's
Yeah.
just not. That's not a good combo.
Because we've talked before about how we love the long-haired henchmen in Die Hard, but those guys
Yes.
have that like long blonde hair and the sort of European faces and accents and stuff like that, and it adds to this like, oh man, that guy looks like he's gonna fucking kill you.
They're also not wearing mustard suits that are ill-fitting and like very long. Which
that's just the '90s, baby. What's up?
that
Oh,
is
the
true, but-
'90s was like, we want to just be swimming in fabric. That's
Yeah.
exactly.
We love zoot suits. Let's
Yeah.
bring those back.
what
How
you
can we
watch
make the human body look as unflattering.
the
as
the X-Files I always go to, those first seasons.
Ooh.
You're taking
Brutal.
two people with incredible bodies and just
Yeah.
putting them in the baggiest suits you can get.
They did my girl dirty.
Like
They really
first
did,
2
like,
or 3 seasons,
Gillian Anderson
Do you know
looks
how long
kind of
it took me to
heavy,
realize that Gillian Anderson is hot?
and she's
Way too long.
she's like small too. Like she seems
Yeah.
like a short kind of squat woman in the first
Yeah.
season, and then you're like, oh no, she's like svelte and kind of petite. It's so bizarre because she's just in those giant overcoats.
and
I don't-
overcoats and her hair was not great in
Ooh,
the
the
first
hair
couple
was
seasons.
so bad.
That was the style. It was just like we just
I
I
don't.
know it
no
was
one,
just so bad.
no one had a body in the early '90s. No one.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
I don't know why. And I know that like fashion is cyclical, you know?
Yeah.
Like at a
Don't bring that back.
please don't bring that back, okay?
That's
Like,
already been brought back,
I
guys.
know,
I hate to
but-
bring it to you.
but-
And the
I don't-
big,
And,
huge
well, the thing
baggy
is everything
jeans.
there, it's brought back, it's modified.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
So it is modernized. So the oversized fit is huge right now. Like super baggy jeans with like a baggy t-shirt on top with a bucket hat. Are you
Really?
kidding me? That's like the height of fashion right now.
It shouldn't be. I think the thing that's interesting is when it becomes cyclical like that, is people who then live through that like we did go like, that came back? Because young people are
wait till
discovering
low-rise jeans are a thing again, because I know people are trying to bring those back, and I'm like, girl, it wasn't cute then, it's not going to be cute now.
That's it exactly, because when the young people discover it and it's now kind of in a retro thing and we're going to bring it back and put our spin on it, we who actually lived through that went, no, don't. For the love of God, we remember what that looked like.
Mid-rise. Mid-rise is good. If you don't want high-waisted, fine, but mid-rise. Thank you.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay, so this scene where they're in the bar is what I think is the one-liner of the movie. Is where is it Dobbs that's hitting on Tiffany here in the club?
It's a random dude.
I think it's just a random dude, but he looks like Dobbs, which I thought was weird.
Yes.
I thought he was the other policeman who's dirty.
Dobbs.
Oh, that is Dobbs.
That's who I thought. See, that's what I mean.
Okay,
but
I did think it was him.
But
maybe it was. Yeah, I didn't think it was.
I don't
Dobbs.
think it is, but he looks exactly the
too
same.
many people look alike in this movie.
Because Dobbs and Danny even look very similar.
Yeah. Because they both don't have ponytails.
The two white men without ponytails. Yes.
other than Gary. I mean Jeff.
Sean.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's really weird. But she says the clock on the wall says it's time to go. The clock on the wall says it's time for you to fuck off.
Yeah.
Hey,
I thought that was pretty good.
that is very good.
So then, Cynthia Rothrock rolls in here and says, "Get the hell out of here." This then leads to the car fight with the goons, which I thought
I did love her leaping over the bar and then being like, "You gotta fucking go," throwing him, and then having the other bouncers take him away.
Much like the first martial law, anytime Cynthia Rothrock's in the movie, things just get better. You're like, yeah, now we're talking. But this fight, where she's using the car doors and they're up on top of the roof of the car and on the hood and she's leaping off of stuff. And this is also where she gets the image that became the poster, which her with that bat where she twirls it and points it at the guy. I love. You also know it's 1991 because she has a baseball bat, but this guy pulls out the club. Does anyone remember the club? It was the thing you put on your steering. It was meant to be a...
Oh, yeah.
It's the red thing that my dad had one, and the whole idea was you couldn't turn the wheel then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, people still use those.
Sometimes, yeah.
I see them. Depending on where you park in Portland, you'll see them everywhere.
You will. One of the reasons they kind of went out of fashion is people very quickly figured out how to undo them.
You can also take off the steering wheel pretty easily, too.
Well, that was how they did it. They would you would unscrew. You can see it in the Nicolas Cage movie Gone in 60 Seconds. He detaches one of those and he takes the steering wheel off and then is able to undo the thing.
Do you think it was Gone in 60 Seconds that made the steering wheel club less prevalent?
Yeah, it was like my dad saw that movie and went, "Oh, I guess I probably don't need that then."
Guess it's going in the dumpster.
If Nicolas Cage can figure this out, then anybody. Yeah.
That man owns a shark, probably.
Maybe.
At some point, he owned a shark. No question about that.
Yeah.
Now he's all about his raven. He's always talking about how he owns a raven now.
Isn't that because he's going to be playing Dracula?
He is going to be playing Dracula next summer, which I'm so excited for. Nicolas Cage's Dracula.
Also, who doesn't want a fucking raven? Like,
well, I love
I
the idea.
understand that more than having a shark.
I ended apparently like a large section of his house is the enclosure for the raven, so it has a lot. The raven has a good chunk of the house to itself. Like
as it should.
This raven is
probably smarter than him.
I know. Because Nicolas Cage got his crazy mansion in Las Vegas where he lives, and
yes,
he would live in Las Vegas. This all tracks.
Oh yeah. He's a Vegas resident.
But yes, I would love to have a pet raven. Anyways, back to this movie.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna. I could see it, Liz. When you get the money, you could go Nicolas Cage eccentric. I could see it.
Sure.
I could see it.
Yeah.
He's already eccentric. He just doesn't have the money.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You add the money to it, you could have all kinds of crazy shit. I could see you with a dinosaur skull. I could totally see it.
Oh yeah, and I'm only going to enable him more.
100%.
He'll be like, should I get this? I'll be like, you should.
No, I think that's the problem. Is exactly. I think you two would be a bad influence on each other with that kind of.
Yeah, definitely.
How many more taxidermy bats can we get?
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause
We only have the one right now.
that's the problem. Unlike Nicolas Cage, it'd be two people buying crazy shit.
Yeah, we're yes-anding each other.
Yeah, you got. That's absolutely. We need that crazy thing.
Yeah.
So yeah. Let's see. So this is where the. Okay, so I think this is the third act of the movie. Is they? I think this is what's happening, and I think I finally get it. They set up a decoy drug bust. So they're having a drug deal over here that the police can bust. While
You know how we know it's a decoy? Because it's happening at night.
It's
Drug
the first
busts
time.
happen
Meanwhile, the real drug deal is happening over here, and that's how he's going to get his $10 million to buy that guy's business, which the movie never explains why he even wants. But
yeah. Also, again, you could have just bet that you get the business without paying for it. Again, why didn't we do that anyway?
Insanity. Like, truly, just, I mean, this is not the worst movie we've seen, but that is one of the most incompetent story beats I've seen in one of these things. Where you're just like, in what world do you think that's a valid story beat in a film?
It's not even one of the examples of you think about it afterwards and you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. No, in the moment you're like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you?
When they make the bet, I'm watching it going, what? That's a bad bet.
When they make the bet, you think that, and then also when it's revealed that he doesn't have that much money,
that's
then
completely insane. That is totally nuts. I mean,
when that fight ended, because I was like, oh, okay, so he won the bet, so he gets that guy's business, and the guy that lost is like, you got a week to get me my $10 million, and I'm like, no, he won the bet. Why would he pay you? And then I remembered what the bet was, and I went, oh wow, okay, yep, it's fine.
Well, this is very stupid. It does make you go like, what's wrong with this guy? Like that, like there's something wrong with him.
Like if he didn't go down from this, it would have happened eventually. He is not a good criminal boss. He's not a good businessman. He does not know what he's doing.
But here's where you maybe could. I don't know that you could have made that level of stupidity work. But bring the father in here, going, "You did what? We don't have that kind of money."
Yeah,
and then at least it's
why
got dramatic
wouldn't you
tension.
just not? Why did you offer to pay anything?
Yeah. But at least there'd be some dramatic tension to it then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it's like, and the movie acts like we should care that this guy, oh no, if he gets this 10 million, it's a drug deal, objectively bad. Like there shouldn't be more cocaine on the streets. But that's not a unique threat here. That's like, we better stop this from happening. And also, I don't know that there's any negative to him owning this guy's business either that needs to be stopped.
It's a net neutral in the world of the story. It doesn't affect anybody necessarily. Or if it does, that's not explored.
And I don't really care about avenging that other cop's death. We didn't know him, really.
I think that's what this movie is trying to rely on, you know?
If they were just trying to rely on that, who cares about the drug bust and all of that?
Great
They could have just not had that, because the main character and even Cynthia Rothrock both don't know about that.
Yeah.
It's not really their fucking problem.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they're cops, so if once you get wind of it, you gotta be like, all right, well, I either gotta get in on.
But even when they do the fake drug bust, it's Jeff Wincott and a whole squad of cops, so it's not even his thing. He's just along for the bust. It is sort of because we've seen plenty of movies about, I'm just now going to dismantle this crime organization out of vengeance, and that's enough. That's enough stakes for us. It's just like, they killed my friend, therefore I'm going to burn down their organization. And that's, you don't need to create the, we've all been there.
It makes you wonder why that betting scene happened at all.
It almost feels like they took two scripts and put them together.
It does feel like that a little bit.
I wouldn't be surprised if there were two separate movies that they turned into one.
Yes.
Because it does sort of feel like, well, there's this thing about a guy trying to raise money to do a business deal by selling drugs, and then there's another script about a vengeful cop tearing down an organization. They went, oh, those kind of fit together.
Sure.
I mean, there were 3 people who wrote this script, so I mean...
I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised if, if they did take, one of those guys wrote a different movie and they just incorporated it into this.
Yeah, the guy who wrote the first one had one story in mind, and then they're like, well, we're bringing on this guy, and then this other guy.
Because that's the thing is,
It'll
and
be fine.
and I
It'll
don't
be
remember
cohesive.
I don't remember the David Carradine's plot. I don't remember much about it. I don't think it had like a ton of stakes to it, but I do seem to remember the plot of that first movie being fairly simple in just like, this guy needs to be stopped. We will stop him.
Right, exactly.
This movie
That's
is-
all you need for this kind of film.
You really do. It's just like this guy, and also remember he had the whole thing where he was like exploding people's hearts, so he was like dropping bodies around the city, and so there
Right.
was at least an air of like, well, we got to stop this guy because he keeps killing people.
Yeah.
This doesn't
Is
even
it-
have that.
So is this after this where they get jumped in the parking lot? Is this where? Because at some point Cynthia Rothrock is working at the bar,
Yeah.
and then her and Tiffany are like, "Let's get out of here." I'm like, "Wait, hold on. Cynthia Rothrock is on the clock. She's an employee."
So that's before she fights those guys with the car door.
Okay.
and all of that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up because
Yeah.
I was just like, "Wait, hold on.
Did you
If you're
love-
undercover?
I
You just left your job?"
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
But I mean, Tiffany was the arrestee in the case that went missing, so she's more important to follow than staying at the club.
Sure, but like,
Well,
yeah,
but
Because
also
she was
Spencer.
told specifically to find out information about her.
okay.
What will happen is Spencer will hear about that fight and say, "Hey, I could use you for my security detail or whatever."
Yes.
Uh,
Now I know you abandoned your position that you were hired to
But I
have.
will instead entrust you with my life.
Yeah, exactly.
So cool.
You seem very reliable.
Here's
I have to say.
Here's another very 1991 scene. Women be
Mhm.
shopping.
Yeah.
Oh, women be shopping.
I love the lingerie that she picks out. That I'm like, that is
Hideous.
arguably the least sexy.
Agreed.
lingerie
And
I
then when they
have
said
ever
it
seen.
cost $300, I said, "Come on now."
I was like, I just wear like a slightly long T-shirt. That would be hotter than what that.
Well, I
is.
do think a lot of the lingerie business is a lot of it's overdone, right? It's a lot of like, because agreed, there are often simpler things that would actually be sexier, but it's highly expensive, very over-designed stuff that most likely if you feel sexy in it, that's great, but your partner probably doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're waiting for it to be off.
Because this is like an it's like embroidered in the front. Like this.
No, it's got lace.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's lace.
It's got
That's
a
what it
lace
is, yeah.
trim.
Yeah.
on,
It's
like,
very
the-
it's once
the
again in
neckline.
that way I think
but
it's very
very
overdone.
big lace.
Yes.
like the a little lace trim is sexy. When it's like the width of my hand, that's too big.
Yeah.
That's
It's-
not. That's
like I
not
said, it's
good.
just-
You could barely see her boobs. Like she had no cleavage with that thing on.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And what's interesting is, doesn't she buy this for Cynthia Rothrock?
She also buys her lingerie,
Again,
Yeah.
This is why
which again,
I'm assuming
it could have,
they could.
I'm
have
gonna buy
had a
you this.
thing.
I want to see you wear it. Like.
But what I'm
very
saying is, we
sexy,
get
very
this
hot.
scene where she's like, "You should have that. I'll buy it for you." But then we see Tiffany in it later.
Yes.
Well, she hands Cynthia Rothrock something different, and she grabs the pink one. For
Okay,
This
herself.
gotcha.
This one's
Because
for
you don't
me.
really see the one that she hands to Cynthia Rothrock.
Because
You
it doesn't
really only see the one she
matter
grabs.
because Cynthia Rothrock is completely asexual in this movie.
Yeah, she's not gonna wear. Like, she's like, all right, cool.
This is not
like,
sworn
you're
to
just buying me.
justice.
You're buying me expensive lingerie on this other dude's like credit card.
Yeah.
I'm into it. Girl, buy me everything.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Now it's like, well, there's a couple other things I wanted in here too.
Yeah,
now
it's
that
like,
think
I mean,
about it.
worst case scenario, you just sell it. Never been worn. Someone will buy that shit.
Cynthia
It's-
Rothrock's like, now nunchucks.
I do love me some nunchucks.
Well, I do
Some bedroom nunchucks.
Yeah.
I do think it's it is interesting. We started with Sworn to Justice, which you were also on, Maggie, and that is
Very
the only
sexy.
that is the only Cynthia Rothrock movie though where she really does try to be sexy. So it is
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
interesting to see now in this. It's like there's a lingerie shopping scene, and her partner is just like, yes, that would be nice, and then I'm not gonna wear this or do anything with it, Because even like
Yeah.
we talked about, like Tiger Claws had a shower scene with her, but it's still not even sexy. It's just sort of matter
Really?
of fact, and it's just
Yeah.
like, well, she happened to be taking a shower.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, there it is very interesting to go back here. There really is just that one movie, and that's why all those pervs on IMDb seized upon that movie, because it's the only time she gave any kind of like titillation in a movie like that.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of flat asses in that movie.
Yeah, and I will say that's one of the things we like about Cynthia Rothrock, though, is she is presented as an action hero first, not a sexual object in most of these movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you have Guardian Angel, where the guy is trying to make her the character of that piece of shit guy, and that is trying to make her sexual, and she just isn't, because she's wearing like acid wash jeans and a Lakers cap.
Yeah.
The weirdest acid wash.
The weirdest.
Yeah.
We talked about that when Clara was on. It was the weirdest acid wash. Indeed.
Yeah.
You know what though? Clara could rock those jeans. I bet. I'm just gonna say.
Could be. I don't know.
I love Clara. She can wear anything. Clara, if you're listening to this, I love you.
No, she only listens to the episode she's on. No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Bit of
Am
a
I on this
narcissist,
one?
that
Then no. Yeah. Okay, the scene I laughed the hardest at is when he goes to this biker bar because he gets a fake tip. And he says one thing, and it just turns into a brawl.
I told Michael it's
the
like
Black Dynamite scene.
Yeah, where it's the sleeper agents. You said the key phrase, and everyone's
because
just like, I guess we're wailing on this guy.
He just walks in and he goes, "I'm looking for this person," and then it's just
I'm looking for Lenny.
And then it's just like, whoa, and you're just like, Jesus Christ. And also, I love the attempts to murder Jeff Wincott. All involve people physically fighting him hand to hand. Nobody ever tries to shoot him or stab him. It's always just like, yes, we'll kill him by attempting to use the thing he's the best at.
Now, he's a martial arts cop. So what if we attempt to kill him with martial arts?
Tried to punch him to death.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Also, I don't understand any criminal organization that would try to use martial arts on anyone to kill them. It just doesn't make sense. Shoot them, blow them up, stab them, anything. I don't care.
Well, at least with Sworn to Justice, somebody tried to kill somebody with a car bomb, you know?
Yeah, that was at least
that one had a lot of explosions.
Yeah.
It did. It's on The Sopranos, you never hear Tony Soprano go, "Yeah, I want you to mess him up with some kung fu. That would be what I would like to happen."
Give him some knees and elbows until he's, until he dies.
Hey, Polly Walnuts, put that gun away. I want you to kick this guy.
I want you to be exhausted. I want you to be exhausted by the time this is over.
Tone, I'm 55 years old. I can't kick anybody.
I'm going to need you to kick a light that's 10 feet above your head.
Yeah.
If you could do that, please. That would be very
I've literally not taken a single class in martial arts, but whatever you say, boss. It's just, because it's twice this happens. They tell the biker, and you would think the bikers too would be using at the very least pipes and chains or something. No,
like they learned from the first scene in the movie. Oh, this guy means business.
Wincott beats up the same biker gang twice in this movie.
Yes, and they never learn their lesson.
They never do. He beats up there's 20 guys in this bar, and he lays them all out.
I also like the one moment where he throws a billiard ball at somebody.
Yes.
And I'm just like, why isn't that the only thing he's doing?
I thought he uses the cue stick a couple times, and then I do love when I thought that was awesome when he threw a billiard ball into a guy's face.
Yes.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Now that's using your environment, baby.
Exactly, yeah.
But I agree, he could have used it more.
That in Rush Hour.
Yeah, exactly.
So is there a billiard fight in Rush Hour?
Yeah. Oh
okay.
yeah.
I haven't. It's been a long time since I've seen Rush Hour.
A billiard fight scene. Yeah, there's a fight scene at billiard. Yeah, the first one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I put on Rush Hour.
I think it's the first real Jackie Chan fight scene when him and Chris Tucker are teamed up. There's
Yeah, they go to a bar and he's waiting for Chris Tucker because he's pretending to be a tough cop, but really he's just visiting his cousin.
I enjoyed them when they came out, but I have not watched a lot of the Jackie Chan American films.
Yeah.
Rush Hour has a very special place in my heart, and Michael did accidentally buy it on Mike's PS
No, this was a Xbox
or
360.
on his Xbox
I mean,
360.
I've got the Rush Hour trilogy Blu-ray set. I should watch those again.
Yeah.
I do really
First one's
enjoy.
pretty good.
The first one is pretty good. I remember 2 and 3 are like watchable.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I do have a great affinity for Shanghai Noon just because I like Jackie Chan in the Old West, and
Sure.
I will take Owen Wilson over Chris Tucker.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think Chris Tucker's funnier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
But I've also never seen Shanghai Noon.
oh,
Oh,
you,
well, we should
if
watch
you
that.
like Rush, it's just Rush Hour in the Old West. You'd love it.
It is.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, we're not talking about this movie, of course. So,
I wonder why.
yeah, so we get that scene, and I like that Wincott's like, oh my god, they set me up. Somebody set me up.
How could they?
But then he doesn't
Wow.
do a lot to investigate that. And then,
No.
having beat up the whole bar, our bad guy's next plan is, send some guys to fight him in his dojo. You know, the place he'd feel most comfortable doing martial arts.
Yeah, that'll
But again,
work.
no guns, no, shooting.
No, fellas, you need to show up in gis as well.
They're the ones that are undercover.
They
Then
cut out
allow
the
him to
scene.
get his hands on weapons.
They cut out the scene of one of the henchmen bringing an assault rifle, and he's like,
Tony, we told you.
What are you doing?"
Fucking Tony's
Fists.
always
I was,
bringing a gun to a fist fight.
I was just going to mow him down with his AK-47, but okay, yeah, I guess we'll go fight him? I just don't understand it. Man, The Irishman would have been so good if legendary assassin Robert De Niro was karate chopping guys.
Yeah.
Ka-cha! I don't
Judo
think that,
chop.
I don't think there's a single movie where Robert De Niro does anything approaching martial arts, but I wish there was.
Raging Bull. He's a boxer.
That would be the closest to approaching it, yes. If we're talking about a very far ways out approaching it, then yes, I guess
yeah.
Raging Bull is that is the only movie about De Niro like physically fighting in any way I can think of.
Right. Yeah.
He does a lot of movies where he shoots people. Because once again, that's what organized crime does.
Yeah.
So they murder Tiffany after we get the beginnings of a sex scene.
Yeah.
But they
very,
shoot her.
Uncomfortable sex.
She
Yeah.
drugs the captain.
Yes.
Yes.
They then shoot her with the captain's gun.
Yes.
Then take a Polaroid of him passed out next to her body, and they go, "There it is."
That's the proof. He
That's
was
the
sleepy and
blackmail.
he shot her.
I isn't just shooting her with the gun and having that ballistics be matching enough?
Yeah,
Why do
but
they
then
need-
you don't get the opportunity for the villain to have an incredibly boring monologue explaining his evil plan.
Also, he needs that Polaroid for later. It's the only way he can get off. Don't worry about it.
This is going in my personal collection.
Yeah.
Because I too.
That wasn't blackmail. That was just for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I too am a collector. This also does. I do love not a silencer, but shooting a gun through a pillow to make it absolutely silent. Of course, that's how that
Classic.
works.
That's physics.
That's
just physics.
This one's for you.
That's science.
Yeah.
But yeah, they put the hit out on Wincott. The assassins arrive. I do love my favorite weapons to use in anything are the batons. This comes
yeah.
from my love of Daredevil and Nightwing comics growing up.
Yes.
Nothing better than the baton in each hand as he's fighting these guys. And
Good stuff.
this is probably my second favorite fight is this dojo fight.
Yeah.
We'll talk about a missed opportunity later that I didn't like, or that I didn't like. They didn't go far enough, which is when Cynthia Rothrock so briefly has a bow staff, and they don't do enough with it. I was literally like, I started applauding when she busted out. I'm like, here we go. Especially because we know from reading her background that she was like one of the world's best in weapons demonstrations and martial arts tournaments. So.
Yeah,
Why-
they don't really like. She does like improvised weapons, but she doesn't do a lot.
Well, it's the same thing we said about in Tiger Claws, where she had the swords and then doesn't use
For,
them
like,
really.
Yes, that's true.
You're just
yeah.
like, you have someone who is an expert in these martial arts weapons, and they rarely have her use stuff.
Yeah.
And so I thought for a second when she grabs this like dowel rod later, I thought, here we go. We're gonna see her beat up a ton of people with it. No, she hits like one guy. Actually, I think the whole third act of this movie is kind of lame.
Yeah.
I started to kind of peter out at this
Once
point.
they get into the industrial factory.
Lame.
Yeah.
Too many. Well, every guy dies the same way in the industrial factory.
Every guy
They
dies
fall.
the same.
They fall from a height.
Yes, and they all have ponytails.
They all have ponytails.
It
so
does
they all
feel-
look the same.
They're just. It's like they're kicking the same guy off of railings for 20 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is pretty lame.
And
But
then it's, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, after the first guy, I was like, okay.
So we
Let's
get
do
the whole drug bus switcheroo. Wincott figures out that he figures
Dobbs
out
is
Dobbs is
dirty.
dirty, and he's like, "I know you're dirty," and then Dobbs is like, "That's right. Now here's my gun, and you're done." Like it's so crazy to me.
Yeah. So blase.
He's like, when did you become dirty? It's
Yeah.
like, police officer.
But-
like, girl.
And
go.
so then when he's like, "See, I've got the guy," and then the villain's like, "Yeah, actually, I was told to kill you, Dobbs." So they shoot Dobbs. Kind of lame that's how that guy goes out. But then yes,
it's the one where he's like, I've got different orders, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
And I was just like, wait, I'm sorry, what?
Why? Yeah, I don't really understand why they killed this man.
Why wouldn't
It
you
didn't-
shoot the main character and then shoot Dobbs?
I do think that in the order of things, he saw Dobbs as the primary threat here. Dobbs.
I was so confused.
Yeah.
I
by
don't.
because what happens? Because he has that time, then Jeff Wincott gets this guy's gun.
Yeah, and takes that guy hostage.
Yeah.
Like,
And this is where he shows up in a crazy decision. He has duct taped the barrel of this shotgun to this guy's head.
it's
That's what that was. I was like, why is he
Yeah.
wearing it like a necklace?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
He has taped it around the guy's neck so the barrel is stuck right to his head.
that is sadistic, right? Like
Yes.
that's a sadistic
I-
thing
I-
to
That's
do.
fucking
Like,
creepy.
I've seen this in other movies, but it's always a bad guy that does it.
Yeah, it's not like you're not like, yeah, get him,
Because-
Wincott. You're like, oh,
You're like, yikes, are you a serial killer? What
No,
the fuck?
the idea being, no matter what, you're not going to get the barrel away from his head. So if you shoot me, I'm going to blow this guy's brains out. And then the thing I never expected is he fucking blows this guy's face off.
Yeah, like it's very graphic. It's maybe
It's-
the most graphic death in this movie.
Oh,
It is,
definitely.
And it's our hero murdering an unarmed man who, yes, is a bad guy, but doesn't deserve this.
No, he should be arrested.
But
Once
yes.
again, another movie where the quote unquote good guys are cops, and they do just kind of go around murdering everyone.
I mean, when he pulled this trigger, and yes, you literally see the shotgun blast like come out the front of this guy's face. And the movie I agree, listen, has not been that violent up to the, and I was just
No.
like, fuck.
And then for the rest of the sequence, he's got this man's like goopy hair stuck to the barrel of his gun.
Weird.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
We also
why?
had to rewind for that because we were like, wait a minute, they're not keeping that on there. Oh no, they are.
Yeah, they really commit to that gore.
They really
It's
did. I was like,
disgusting.
this took a turn.
Yeah.
It is
They
like,
were like, we gotta wake some people up.
This is a
It's
different-
been,
Yes.
it's been slow. We gotta wake them up with some face blasting.
it is like this is
girl,
a
did you?
different movie, man. I don't know what this
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
This
Like,
is
this
not
is-
This movie took a
Spooktober
very
yet.
dark turn.
It's the
towards
most
the
horrific
end.
death, and it's done by the protagonist, which is just Buck Wild.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
does seem like something the bad guy should do. I do love this, though, where the guy comes up behind him, and Wincott spins the shotgun so the barrel's now pointed behind him and pulls the trigger upside down.
Yeah.
That's
pretty.
it's not as cool as Van Damme turning the pistol upside down in Hard Target and just working that trigger, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary, and once again points to what we were saying, which is the shotgun is the wrong weapon to take into this scenario. I love this, though, because he blows that guy's brains out, spins around and shoots this guy, and then another guy comes, and he just blasts the rest of the gun until it's empty.
Yeah, he shoots it maybe 15 times, it feels like.
Yeah, well,
Like,
there's
way
no
more than a shotgun would be.
there's
able
no
to-
question that we've talked about this. One of those, like,
The
standard...
infinite ammo.
Yeah, check off the infinite ammo on the bingo card because we've talked about these shotguns have about 8, maybe 10 shells in them. And yeah, he does shoot probably at least 15 times here. And all in a row, just like... And you're just like, good Lord. At no one, too. I don't even know if he hits it. He hits like one guy.
He doesn't hit the guy because he runs and he's like, that guy's got like a other gun. I don't know the names of any guns.
Yeah, I didn't clock what he had.
That plugs into it and he's like, he's run out of ammo and runs away.
It's just, but I just thought it was hilarious to just like empty your gun at a guy and it doesn't even wound him. He's like, what an idiot, what a not cool
blindly
way.
shooting.
What a not cool way to show your hero. Keep missing someone.
Yeah, so heroic.
I know, it's so insane. And so yeah, then we get all these fights where guys are just going over railings. We don't even have to really talk about them, I don't think.
There's also a fight scene in the middle of the warehouse where there's just this single chain dangling.
Yeah, well, this is how he finishes Tanner.
But they didn't. Yeah. They didn't for the longest time. I'm like, they have to.
Because this is how, I mean, you talk about kind of. Well, this is not quite sadistic. This is also a ripoff of Die Hard because John McClane
I was just about to say,
kills a guy like this in Die Hard when he thrusts the chain around him and strings him up with it. But then he does make a comment about the suit. That's the last one-liners. As the guy's hanging there dead, Wincott just goes, "Nice suit."
Yeah, because we both just went, "No, it's not."
Yeah.
It's a mustard nightmare. What are you talking about?
That's supposed to be sarcastic, though, right? Like, ugh, nice suit.
I guess.
Maybe. I honestly, I don't know.
Whatever.
He was really into that color.
He just zinged a corpse. That's all that really
did
matters.
Zing
also, that guy died really quickly for being strangled by a chain.
I'm
like, it didn't snap his neck. Would be. It's a long death.
If you recall,
if your neck doesn't get snapped.
If you recall in Die Hard, it actually does not kill that guy.
Yeah.
Because he comes back at the end to be shot by Al.
Yeah.
Thanks, Al.
Shot a kid.
I shot a kid.
I shot a kid. Yeah. Oh, the best, man. The best movie. Really. I've been up there for maybe the best action movie ever made. Maybe Die Hard. Yeah, it's pretty perfect. Okay, so here we get our lame fight between Spencer and Jeff Wincott. And I wasn't quite sure what this tool was that he comes at him with. It's some kind of prying tool. It
looks like Maggie described it as a comically large screwdriver.
Yes, it does. It's like a flathead screwdriver. The only thing I can think about is you might use it to get leverage on something and pry. But
it's a little too short for that. It's a little too short to be
very cartoony.
Yeah.
And he comes at him with it. He uses a number of industrial things here because he doesn't know Kung Fu.
Yes.
So he has to use the tools around him. Because, yes, of course, as we did say, this is in some kind of factory or something. This one doesn't even... But no money... This is not even a spark factory because no money for sparks.
Nope.
Which is a bummer.
Yeah.
Did you love this move here where he throws a coat over Spencer and kicks him in the head? I enjoyed that. I also, my favorite part of this, though, is when Wincott gets in close and he just punches him like 20 times in a row.
Yes, I was
just like that.
They really like the rapid punching, and I would make fun of it, but I play a monk a lot when I play D&D, and that's what you do as a monk, where it's just like, I punch them 12 times.
It is,
like,
but
I was like, it looks cooler in my head when I'm doing this. But now that I see it in this movie, I'm like, oh man, that is kind of like...
It kind of always looks silly on screen to me, anytime somebody's doing the rapid punches.
The closest I've seen it work is an Eatman.
Yes.
Yeah, Donnie Yen can kind of pull it off, actually.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
Wincott, who is a good martial artist and looks pretty good in a lot of these scenes, this is the only part where I did start to giggle at this, because I'm like, this is pretty silly.
It is a little silly. I think part of it is also because the person he's fighting isn't able to sell it as well.
Yeah.
That is true. I think that is true.
And also the directing, like you also have to make it like visually look real, like.
Well,
visceral.
I mean, this movie is so flatly directed. There's nothing interesting about anything in this. And you mentioned Ip Man, which is a fantastic looking martial arts movie. My God. Another in my list of probably like top 5 martial arts movies.
Yeah, definitely very visually striking.
God, I love that. I mean, I love all 4 of the Ip Man movies, but that first one in particular is incredible. And so he ends up getting what's this? Knocked over a railing and impaled on a pipe. Didn't we just see somebody die like this?
Wasn't that in the last movie?
That was in Rage and Honor. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy fell on a pipe, and now here's another guy falling on a pipe.
Her brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Conrad Drago.
Conrad Drago.
Yeah.
That was the bad guy's name in that last one, which was awesome. Yeah. And it was the alien bounty hunter from X-Files.
It was, yeah.
Yes, I remember, because I came out while you were watching that.
Mm-hmm. The great Brian Thompson.
I did not see most of it, and you're like, it's the alien bounty hunter. And I went, from Abraxas? And he's like, no, from the X-Files. And I was like, that makes more sense.
We love Brian Thompson on this show.
Yeah.
He knows martial arts and can act.
Yeah.
Which is really, that's all we're looking for.
I know. Yeah. It's so, just have both of the important aspects of making.
And who could forget him as the Night Slasher in Cobra?
Who could forget? Yeah.
So let's see. So he's dead now, and then this is such a tag thing where it's like, Cynthia Rothrock's like, we got everybody. He's like, oh no, wait, actually, the captain's crooked too. We better drive over to his place and deal with him.
Well, he kind of deals with himself.
He kind of deals with himself.
I couldn't believe this ending. I mean, I thought maybe even if
needed to be they needed to confront him, right? There needed to be a.
What if, it's the same scene basically, would have them kick in the door, they've got guns on him, and he shoots himself. But the fact that they're outside and he just sees them come, he's like, shit. Puts the gun to his head and pulls the trigger. And then it's just cut to black and the movie's over?
Yeah, and then the fucking credits roll very slowly.
Very
slowly.
And I'm
like,
very slowly.
It was like, that was, Michael literally wrote, what an ending.
This is another example of a lot of these action show movies have this, where it's just like, the movie doesn't end, it just stops.
Yeah.
It's almost just like, that's all we had, people. I don't know, we couldn't film anymore.
Yeah.
We ran out of
budget.
We will talk about, there are some movies that over at Canon in particular, that did just literally run out of money and had to stop filming.
Yep.
But that's Martial Law 2 Undercover. I'm torn on the is it better than Martial Law, because not having Chad McQueen is a major improvement. That is, it's a huge difference.
But not having a good villain,
that's where
it's not a good improvement.
It's like a lateral movement.
It was definitely, it's lateral. It's that one is not better than the other.
No,
they are similar enough.
You improve one half and you significantly decrease the quality of the other half. So I think,
and you still didn't
even.
make Cynthia Rothrock the main character, which is what they should have done. So I would say,
where's Martial Law 3?
It doesn't matter which one you watch; they both aren't great.
Yeah, I don't know what's worse. Yeah, I agree. I think you could watch either one, and they're all the exact same quality, really.
Yeah. Exactly.
This one, like I said,
read my fan fiction for this movie instead of watching it,
because I think this one's more boring, honestly.
Yeah,
because what's happening, it's just and it does, because David Carradine does make up for kind of how bad Chad McQueen is in that first one. Because he is a good bad guy.
He's diabolical, whereas this bad guy's just a fucking idiot.
Because once again, Carradine, we also did Lone Wolf McQuade, where he was the bad guy. Another guy who was a good actor and good martial artist.
Yes.
So
he was good at
I feel like I remember Lone Wolf McQuade.
With Norris. Chuck Norris. And he had the pet wolf, and he lived out in the desert. And he drove a crazy truck.
Yeah, I do remember that one. Okay,
that is also one of my all-time favorites on this show. That is one I had already seen like 4 or 5 times when we did it, though, to be fair. I already love that movie. I have a great... Well, the Norris... We love the Norris movies.
We do. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
So,
I remember Invasion USA.
Oh, Invasion USA is another just... that's a chef's kiss of an action show movie.
I'm happy that they didn't hurt the armadillo. That was what I was most worried about.
we are coming up, guys, on Norris November, so we're going to get a whole month of Chuck on the show.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right, so what was our favorite kill in this movie? Is it the...
Is it the gruesome murder?
I was going to say the behind the back shotgun.
Yeah.
I think the behind the back shotgun was very good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like at least cool and
Yeah.
not horrifying.
Yeah,
The
that's
other
like
one is a little too.
the other
yikes.
one is just gruesome, like
a little
needlessly
too Saw,
gruesome.
you
Yeah,
know, it's
Yeah,
yeah, it
too-
is like especially because nothing else in the so you just go like, Jesus, where the hell did this come from?
Yeah.
I wasn't watching this movie.
Sadistic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
Even
yeah,
your
I think
even your divorced dads are like, that's a little far.
it's a little much.
Hang on, I gotta throw up a little bit here before I get
Now,
back to the movie.
to be fair though,
Yeah.
that was the only non-white henchman, so he did need to die the most gruesome death possible.
I didn't think you're right. It is, yeah. He gets his
Yeah.
full fucking face blown off.
Yeah, but yeah, so probably the flipping.
Gotta pepper that
It's
in.
got to be the behind the back shotgun blast.
Yeah,
I think is,
Yeah.
I think so.
I think so.
And I don't think there's any debate on there's not many one-liners. My rule is I only read the one-liners if I can get 3, and this one barely squeaked in that. But I do think Clock on the Wall says it's time for you to fuck off.
Yeah,
I think that is
That's
the
the
best one.
only.
one.
That's the only even like constructed one, you know.
Yeah.
Cynthia
Yeah.
Rothrock's "I'm supposed to be on vacation," whatever, and nice suit. Just you know what, I don't think Wincott is a one-liner guy. Some
I don't
action
think
heroes
so.
do
No.
it. I think he's better being the straight-ahead serious guy, you know.
Yes.
So
yes.
I
I will say the most memorable line for me is still "Show me the dead presidents," and I hear Grant is your favorite.
I agree.
As far as best script writing, just those.
100%
perfect.
They
agree.
deserve an Oscar.
That is
Yeah,
that
just
is an
for that.
incredible couplet of dialogue, man. That is gold.
Yeah.
But yeah, best one liner is "It looks like it's time for you to fuck off."
Yeah.
Because I would say that to
Yeah.
somebody.
No, that's what I that's the only one where I wrote that down and went, that's got to win. That's good. That's
Yeah,
legitimate.
that's good.
That's legitimately good. That's as good as what was it, Raw Deal, where it's like the only way you're gonna lie next to me is if we both got hit by a truck or something like that.
That's good.
I do. I do lean towards the women blowing off creeps in these movies as one line.
Yeah,
those are always
yeah.
pretty good.
It's always satisfying.
All right. Well, you know, it's my mission to always find the strangest IMDb reviews. This one is not as weird as some, but it's interesting because it's hyper focused on certain aspects of the movie. So,
Okay.
This comes to us from IMDb user Kelly Scope, and the review is titled "The Ponytail Movie."
I was hoping you would choose this one. I love this one.
Steven Seagal, ponytail and all, stepped onto the scene somewhere around 1990-ish with Above the Law. That's actually not quite true. It was late 80s. But, hey, about a year or so later, Martial Law 2 Undercover comes out, and I have to tell you, a movie with more ponytails has never been made. But this is not to knock the movie. Trust me, there's lots to knock in this movie, like how the biker gang from the opening sequence intended to transport the guns they were trying to purchase back to their homes. No.
Unrealistic.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to knock this movie. Why? Because I love this movie. It is over the top, well produced. Seriously, Kurt Anderson, the director, has got some of the best performances out of the cast. Good fights, a good look, and good editing. I don't agree with that.
No.
Comical, both on purpose and not so on purpose in scenes.
Very
Accurate.
true.
The replacement of Wincott for Chad McQueen's character from Part 1 gets a better fighter in the male lead, and in my opinion, a more diverse actor. Diverse is a weird choice, but yes, an actor with more range, I think, when he
There we go.
because it's still another white guy. But
Yeah.
what is it about this movie that really sets it apart, outside of all the hair and even a yawn by one of the actors in a scene? It is the acting by uncredited, both on IMDb and in the final credits, as Danny Borelli. I don't know why or how this guy did it, but he plays perhaps the best recovering alcoholic in film history. Well, maybe the second best to Ray Milland. Boy, he's going back into classic films there. That's almost an insult to that movie. But don't take my word for it. Watch this movie. Watch the way the Borelli character continues to be engaged in conversations and scenes when he doesn't have lines. Yes, I realize this is an actor, that is his job, but come on, how many actors actually follow through with their jobs?
Most of them.
A lot of them.
I know. I thought that was pretty funny. This guy clearly is only watching Action Shelf movies based on that comment. Charles Taylor is credited for playing Borelli as well as Dobbs, but Dobbs is the character that Borelli was following. And while they list Borelli's wife in the end credits of the film, I did not see the actor's name for Borelli listed. 8 out of 10 stars.
He may not have wanted his name on this project.
I don't know. I gotta see. Is he really right that Borelli doesn't have a credit? I gotta look at this IMDb here because that seems impossible. I just love that he was so taken with this guy doing base level acting.
This just bit part in a movie, like not the most important character at all.
But that he would focus on
within 15 minutes.
What the guy would focus on is I think he is credited, but I think he's credited as Bo instead of Borelli.
Oh, maybe.
I think because that's what he calls him.
Okay.
So because I think I see him here. I think it's Greg Barazil.
Okay.
But I just like the idea that he's like, you'll never believe it. He acts even when he's not talking.
He's a stunt guy.
Oh, is he?
Most of his credits, he has 113 credits for stunt.
Well, there's a lot of that's a movie like this. One of the things they do is like we need
a stunt guy.
We need stunt guys, right? So that's more important. So we'll also just have them play some.
Looking at what he's known for, it's a bunch of things, but he's listed as being the stunt guy.
I didn't think he was that good.
No. I mean,
and I didn't think his performance as an alcoholic was anything.
No.
So I don't know what this guy's talking about.
No.
I just love that it's all about the ponytails, then it's all about that guy's performance.
Just that one character who's in 5% of the
they're
film.
like, he's hot. I like him.
That's not even it.
So
well, they didn't say that, but you don't know. You don't know their preference.
Let's check in with somebody else that we often value the opinion of on this show. It's time for another segment of The Winning Opinion. Yes, Bruce Winning did see this movie, and I will say this is classic Bruce Winning.
I can hear it already, John.
Well, and it's interesting that the title of his review is Textbook Martial Arts Violence. I like 16:9 video, so I must mention not 5.1 audio. I do like all the punching and kicking. There was adequate shooting, but mostly martial arts. The action in this will keep your interest. 5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
Back
to the basics.
I gotta
Bruce.
say, this man's reviews, I can't knock him too hard because if you ask me to review something, it's going to sound alarmingly similar to that. Because I'm so not good at describing why I like things. I just like the punching and the kicking, and there wasn't that much gunfight, and
I do like.
Watching.
I love adequate shooting, but mainly martial arts.
But me.
I just think that's funny. It's we wanted certain things out of this movie that didn't deliver, so I think we need to come up with the imaginary martial law 3 that is purely about Rothrock.
Yes.
Already.
In fact, I will say, regardless of what title we get, it starts with the murder of Detective Sean Thompson.
Yes.
So
I like this.
This is Martial Law 3, and the subtitle is, here we go. Oh, I like this. Martial Law 3, Walking the Dark.
Oh yeah, then
That's good
we're
stuff.
getting gritty because her partner / lover has been murdered.
That's it. So it's got to be
turning her back on the law, and she's going into the darkness.
I think that's definitely where it starts. That's the part here. Her recently. Oh, you got to do something too where he's in it briefly, and it much like, geez, I don't remember which one it was. Go Guardian Angel, right? Where they're gonna get married, and then he gets gunned down.
Yes.
And so
I was thinking it was like
Mortal let it go.
I was thinking it was like Mortal Kombat Annihilation, where Johnny Cage is killed at the beginning of the movie because he's clearly a different actor. You know?
Yes. That's the kind of thing. Yeah, it's a total nobody playing Sean Thompson in this. It's not Wincott or McQueen.
You only see him from behind.
Yeah. It's
you never see his face.
Just a stand-in.
He's silhouetted,
and he gets blown up. Yeah.
She is descending into darkness.
The police have told her to let it go.
Yeah, she can't. She
Yeah.
can't do that.
No,
she
yeah.
Can't.
Well,
She'll never let it
maybe this does go into some kind of Kumite ring then.
go. Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
that's what we were asking for.
Yeah.
You know,
What is? I don't know what that is.
Oh, that's
it's a legal fighting competition, like a
Oh, is
death.
that what it's called?
it's a fight. It's well, it is in the movie Bloodsport.
Oh, okay.
Kumite is essentially illegal fighting to the death.
Yes.
Is
Okay.
how it's meant to be. So yeah, so it is the darkest of the, which fits the title of the
Yeah, and we wanted a legal fighting ring anyway, so
Yeah.
I think we should get it in this one.
And I
because
think-
we need to go back to our roots. It's a fucking kung fu movie. Let's do it.
I think
Yeah.
continuing to go to its roots, she has to leave the country to track this down.
Definitely.
Yes.
Oh, it's in international like waters.
Yes,
for sure.
exactly. It's
Yeah,
under there. So she's following this, and the person that killed Detective Sean Thompson is played by Bolo Young.
Yes, I was
Yes.
gonna say Bolo's not in this. We're not. It's
Yeah.
not imaginary enough.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it.
is
Bolo's in it.
He's our bad guy. But of course, he's just one of the fighters in this ring. There is, I'm trying to think of, damn, it would have been a good Carradine part, but we already had him. But whoever's in charge of the thing needs to be like
David Carradine's brother, also played
by
by
David
Carradine.
David Carradine.
and that's why he sent Bolo to kill Sean Thompson, because he killed his brother.
Yes.
Yes.
Now
First
we're
movie.
talking.
Okay.
And that's
Yes.
like a big reveal halfway through the movie, though. Is like, who's
Yes.
behind it? The brother of David Carradine, also played by David Carradine.
Love
His
it.
twin brother.
You killed my twin brother. Yeah. I like this a lot. And so
This is great.
she has
Maybe
to
they're just cousins that look a lot
she has to
alike.
fight her way up through the competition until eventually it's not even the fight against Bolo. Well, maybe she has to fight Bolo and David Carradine at the same time.
Be cool.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
And lots of her using weapons.
Lots of weapons, please.
Yeah.
That's part of the tournament, you know.
part of it.
There's a weapons aspect to it. Oh, I like this movie. I wish this existed.
Oh, man.
too.
Guys, we should make our own film company.
Oh.
And we only make sequels to Cynthia Rothrock.
What the most incredibly specific production company.
It has to be that. Rothrock's production.
There you
exactly.
go.
Rock, rock, and roll.
Yeah, so that is Martial Law 3 Walk in the Dark, coming soon to a red box near you. Well, we are closing the book here on Cynthia Rothrock September, which is sad, but the excitement is next month begins our second annual Spooktober. Spooktober. So it's a month of horror action films. And oh boy, we've got something for you folks. Because we're kicking things off with a film titled Full Eclipse.
Now, does this have anything to do with the Twilight series?
Are there vampires?
There are not vampires in this. This is about we've seen a few movies about kung fu cops. So I think
Okay.
it's time we watch a movie about werewolf cops.
Oh my god!
Yeah. And Listman, as always, I will ask, would you like to hear the tagline for this movie?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's a new police force on the streets, and they only come out at night. Mike Gergoni will be joining us next week to talk about Full Eclipse, starring Mario Van Peebles. I believe this is our first Mario Van Peebles movie.
I think you're right.
And
yeah.
he's certainly an icon of the B action genre. I cannot wait to watch this. This is a movie that we discovered several months back, and it's one of those where I'm like, I can't wait to get to this, because this is a perfect action shelf Spooktober. I think I've only seen the trailer for it, but
Right.
you had me at werewolf cops.
In premise alone, it's perfect.
It really, really is. And yes, Lisman Van Peebles is holding a desert eagle on the poster. So
We
He
love
is,
to see it.
yeah.
You
I
love
just want
to see
two
it.
werewolves in a gunfight where they're dual wielding.
Yes. Oh, I cannot wait for this movie,
Yeah.
man. I'm so
gonna
excited
be
for
good.
this one.
It's gonna be good.
So that'll be next week on the show. Maggie, thank you as always for joining us. Always a pleasure
Oh
to
yeah.
have you.
Thanks
And
for having me.
for-
Thanks for actually dedicating my birth month to someone worthy of it.
Yes, yes.
This better be an ongoing trend, or I will burn this podcast.
Well,
to
we
crap.
do have some ideas for next September that will be different, but I think equally exciting. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of The Action Shelf. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Michael Listman.
Till next week, get yourself some action.
The Action Shelf. The Action Shelf.